What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Silver and Gold Podcast. This is episode 98. We're your hosts. I'm Josh, and this is...
I'm Mike.
I wanted to go for the extra energetic pod intro because we are going to have a pretty energetic pod. I think this was a very good week for Raider fans, which you guys don't get many of those, not over the last 20 years. But we are going to actually start with the depressing side, which is actually for once going to be the 49ers. The 49ers lost a very big game to the Seattle Seahawks, and it changed everything. It changes the outlook that I have for the rest of the playoffs. What's up, Will? I see you in the comments. This went from a team that no longer had to travel to a team that now has to go on a plane, essentially sent to their death to Philadelphia. Obviously not sent to their death, but they have to play a team that I think that they don't match up very well against, but we will discuss that in the next topic. The 49ers lost 13-3 to Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, and really it was an ugly game for the San Francisco 49ers, who were wearing their brand new rivalry uniforms, which a lot of people are saying that the black uniforms are cursed for the Niners, which, I mean, it feels... I like the uniforms, but I feel like they should still keep the gold helmet. Like, if they had those unis and a gold helmet, I feel like it would just complete the look so much more. But in this game, really, the 49ers, they only lost by 10, but really they got dominated really on both sides of the ball. Mike, you saw the game too, right? Like, the Seahawks really out-physicaled the 49ers, and it wasn't even... It was close at a certain point, but tell me what you saw, Mike.
Yeah, it was close, but it didn't feel like it. It felt like the Seahawks were just kind of taking control of the game and controlling it through, you know, their through the trenches, really, and just being more physical than the Niners.
Mm-hmm.
I think not having Trent Williams doesn't help. But the reason why I chose the Seahawks last week was because of their defense. And, paired with that is that the Niners, in their, hot streak, they haven't faced a defense like this. I mean, I want to say at the end of the season, the Seahawks overtook the Texans, at least in many categories, as the number one defense in the league. So it's only natural that you're going to have some issues when you come across that.
Yeah.
But, it showed on the football field. Like, this is... It's a demoralizing game when, you're hyped that your offense is looking like, the hotness going into the playoffs. And then you see this, and it's like, uh-oh. But on the reverse side is, when you go up against a great defensive team, this is the type of game that you expect, and you're going to need to either be as physical as them, or you're going to have to be as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
And I think one problem, and maybe this is just the Seahawks running the right system or, game planning the right way to take away McCaffrey, but if I'm not mistaken, he only got like 6 touches in this game.
He got, I think, 6 rush attempts, and I want to say it was like nine touches total. So let's see here. Christian McCaffrey, he had 8 carries for 23 yards, and then, okay, he had 6 receptions. That's where you're getting the 6 from. You would think that they would have wanted to feed him a little bit more in the passing game, especially because Purdy was under pressure a lot. Like, he should have probably been going to his hot route a lot more, but I think it speaks very highly of the Seahawks defense that they were swarming to the football very quickly. Like, the Seahawks had a top 3 defense going into the game, and I was over here saying I was flat out wrong last week about the Bears defense because I thought that they were a good defense because in fantasy football they were good. Apparently had takeaways, but it was night and day. It was like the 49ers went from dropping 30 every single week to now they can't even get a touchdown, let alone, I'm just going to name off their team stats. They had 173 total yards. For reference, the Seahawks had 181 passing yards, which is more, and 180 rushing yards, which is also more, than the 49ers total offense. The Seahawks ended with 361 to 173 yardage wise. But really the big thing I think was like the time of possession, where the Seahawks just had the ball the whole time because it like really just like from start to finish, they were just like getting massive amounts of yards on the ground. And as 49er fans, we've been on both sides of it. Like the Packers couldn't do anything about the 49ers rushing attack in the NFC Championship game. And you can't really blame them. If the 49ers cannot stop the run, why would the Seahawks stop running the ball? And they have 2 really good running backs who are able to do it. And Kenneth Walker looked so great in this game. Let's see. If I had to assign... All right, Mike, I'm going to ask you this first. I'm going to ask you, if you had to assign more blame in this game to either the offense or the defense, who would you give it to?
It is both the Niners and the Seahawks defense.
But if you had to assign it to the Niners offense or the Niners defense as to, who's to blame for this loss? Who's more so to blame?
I would lean Niners defense simply because they were just gashing you guys.
Yeah.
On offense.
All right. Yeah, the easy answer is that it's both. But, all right, yes, the 49ers held the Seahawks to 13 points, but I think that was pretty fluky. Them missing, one? All right, did they miss 1 or 2 field goals? And then did the Seahawks, for some reason, went for it on 4th and 4.
Their first drive.
Yeah, well, 4th and goal, but it was from the 4-yard line. It was kind of a really weird, decision, especially considering how the game turned out. That could have costed them in the end if the 49ers didn't have that ball just come off of McCaffrey's hands and into the defender's hands. But, man, the game was just ugly. There's got to be blame to... it really starts with how the 49ers came in this offseason, not prioritizing the offensive line. They got bullied up front, dude. They got absolutely bullied. Purdy was, pressured a lot in this game. And so much so that he was even running out of clean pockets. He was because on any given play, which towards the end of the game, a guy beats Austin Pleasance on the outside and Brock gets he gets hit low one way and hit high on the opposite side. And then it's the Seahawks didn't just demoralize the 49ers. They ended them. That's what it felt like at the end of that game. I'm oh, so now Purdy is hurt. And I like Mac Jones, but the statement that it would have sent if, the Niners are struggling this whole day and then your quarterback goes down. It's now the 49ers go from having everybody injured to having everybody plus Brock injured,
Right.
And I don't know, that it's just it was a really bad loss. It was more than just a 10-point loss. It was like they got kind of exposed a little bit. Of they were playing this finesse game, and against a top defense like the Seahawks, you need a guy like Ricky Pearsall out there. But he's injured. And I've seen people kind of question his toughness because he's not out there, but if he's really hurt, like imagine you have people questioning whether or not you're tough because you're seriously injured. Like we've seen this PCL injury for numerous guys. Like last year, Puka Nacua missed like 8 games because of a PCL injury. And then, Pearsall missed like maybe 8 games, but then he re-aggravated it with a hip drop tackle just a couple weeks ago. And I feel like he's kind of been playing through it and been playing well. Like just the week before, the game-winning touchdown doesn't happen, or at least doesn't happen the way that it did if Pearsall doesn't run down the field and make the blocks. He's probably super banged up, so I kind of feel for him. Like I get it, guys are supposed to tough out injuries, but like if you can't go, then let Kendrick Bourne, let the next man up play. Like if you seriously can't go. So I mean that in itself is tough. Jennings, I thought, he couldn't get open. And the only other thing that I want to talk about that has come out after this game has been the scrutiny on Diamador Lenore, which I don't entirely understand because I don't think that he gave up. All right, Lenore loves to talk shit. And we've talked about it before on if you talk shit, when you lose, you are going to be the personal target on social media. You're going to be the talk of the town for NFL fan bases. And so the actual media asked Jackson Smith and Jigba about Diamador Lenore's comments. And then JSN said something along the lines of, I don't always hear my fans, or something like that. Now, if you go, I think Diamador Lenore responded to this comment with, if you go and look at all the plays where they were lined up together, Lenore didn't really give up anything to JSN. Like, he essentially said, go watch every single route. And it's true. The only thing that I think was given up was there was a defensive pass interference, which I think there's a lot of hand fighting that goes unchecked in the NFL most of the time. I felt like for as physical of a game as this one felt, that one to me felt a little ticky-tack, but was it the right call? Probably. But it just, I don't know. It felt like the Seahawks got the call when they needed it. And, I just wish that the NFL officiating was more consistent, like across the board. Because I swear I've seen that same play over and over, whether it's been in our favor or whether it's been against us, or just in a completely other game. Goes uncalled, or I've seen the same play where it does get called. So, D Mokes tuning in says Mendoza MVP incoming, baby. We're gonna talk about the Raiders in a little bit. Don't worry. You're getting Mike all chubbed up over here. But yeah, this was a demoralizing loss because, I mean, on the one hand, I get to watch the 49ers play a playoff game this upcoming week. On the other hand, it was such a bad loss to the Seahawks, which leads us to the 49ers on the road against Philadelphia. The 49ers are going to be missing, I think, 2 additional linebackers. They had 2 linebackers go down in this game against the Seahawks. So now we're down to Eric Kendricks, Curtis Robinson, and I think we just signed Kaiser White. So Fred Warner said he would be back the divisional round, but are we going to last that long? Probably not. Like, I don't know, Mike. How do you see this game shaping out?
Um, well, okay, first off, do I sound at all like staticky, or does my video come back slow?
No, you sound good.
All right, and I look like normal.
Yeah, it might be an issue on my end because I think my graphics card is using the internal one, which is annoying because I disabled and re-enabled it, and normally it's fine. Which is why I don't know if you noticed I turned off my camera for a second and then like turned it back on because I was like I had to restart it because I was delayed.
Gotcha. Is that going to show up on YouTube, or is it going to be like normal speed on YouTube?
It will show up as uh,
A little
you know
laggy.
delayed, but right now you're good. You've been good this whole time. Um,
Okay. I just because like even the 49ers versus Eagles prediction on the bottom is like it's not clean, bzzz, going across. It's like this, like bup.
well, you guys tell us in the comments. Also, Mike, you can maybe pull it up on your phone and you can kind of test it.
Good point. Yeah, I'll
Um,
find out. Well, anyways, sorry. Back to the Niner game. Like my thoughts. I'm having a hard time with this Eagles game because I feel like both of these teams we've seen them peak. Notably, the Eagles really last year, obviously for obvious reasons, they peaked. Uh, and then this year they come in and they're really, not consistent. They're inconsistent. You have, AJ Brown complaining about targets. Saquon's not nearly the same statistically this year as last year, which last year is hard to attain, right?
yeah,
For him or for any running back to do what he did. Thank you, Demokes, for letting us know. Um, I don't know what else would be the problem. Like, I don't remember them losing. Oh, no, they did. Yeah, Kellen Moore was their offensive coordinator last year, right?
last year, yes.
Yeah, so, okay, I was going to say, I don't think they lost a coach, but clearly they lost their offensive coordinator. And I think that is shown this year. I think that was a big loss for them. Because from what I understand, Philadelphia fans fucking hate their offensive coordinator. They don't like the passing game.
They hate everyone.
Um, they don't like many people, but when you win a Super Bowl, you're gonna like most of the people on your team, and then the expectations are high the next year, and here we are. They're inconsistent. Their offense doesn't look the same. Yada yada yada. Right? So naturally, they're upset about their offense. Defensively, I'm curious where they rank in the NFL. Um, I haven't heard much about them, you know, and maybe just when they're on primetime football, I just so happen to be busy and not watch. You know,
Hmm.
I feel like I haven't watched the Eagles at all this year. I kind of correctly predicted AJ Brown was gonna uh, blow up at the end of the year because I traded for him in fantasy right before he did, and I just saw his matchups and was like, the how do you say the in fantasy football, and I guess just in football in general, like players tend to even out. Like it's like there are the star players that just shit all over everybody every week. Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nakua, those guys just go nuclear every single week and it's whatever. And then you have guys like AJ Brown where it's like he could have 6 straight weeks to start the season where he's dog shit statistically. But we know who AJ Brown is as a player. Eventually, he's going to put up massive numbers. And he just hadn't all year. So I forget the term. It's like something expectancy or something like that, or positive regression. That's what I was kind of going off of. But anyways, like this is a weird matchup for me because on one end I see a struggling offense for the Eagles. Again, we know that they're Their heights are higher than most teams in the league. In fact, if they were to get back to their form from last year, nobody could beat them. I don't think there's a team this year. If they literally went back to their peak version of themselves from last year, nobody in the postseason this year would beat them. Your best bet is the Seahawks or the Texans because it has to be a good defense.
Yeah, so the story with the Eagles defense, after doing a little digging, is they do have a weakness, and their weakness is their run defense this year, funny enough. And the
Okay.
49ers' weakness on offense has been running the football. So the 49ers, I don't think, are in position, I think, to attack the Eagles' weakness like they have been in the past. Whereas it's kind of poetic because the Eagles typically have a really solid run defense. So here's how the Eagles defense kind of stacks up. They allow, all right, in terms of points allowed per game, they're top five. They only allow 19.1 points per game. So they're just below the Patriots and just above the Chiefs. In terms of yardage, they allow 189.8 yards per game through the air, which is, I'd say, really,
Pretty
that's
good.
really good. That's pretty damn
Yeah.
good.
I would expect them to be a good pass defense.
Yeah. In terms of
With their
rushing,
personnel.
they allow 124.4 rushing yards per game.
Definitely not the worst, but not the best either.
I think that's pretty bad. Like, here, let's see how that's.
Well,
All right.
I'd say for team totals, a lot of 120 is a good amount.
That is, hold on. All right, for reference, they're in the ballpark of the Cowboys. The Cowboys allow 125.5 yards of rushing offense. So that would make them the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the 11th worst against the run. And the Bengals are so crazy. They give up 147.1, which is the worst.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's not good. So yeah, lower third of the league against the run.
Yeah.
And when I say that they were inconsistent, the thing about the Eagles this year, they remind me this year of up until this year, the worst years of the Chiefs during their dynasty of they can't possibly do it again this year. And they don't look that good. They're not that consistent. They're not blowing teams out of the water. They're just game managing the shit out of games to where they look kind of shitty and yet they win. And then they end up being, a 12-win team.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Eagles were this year, where it was like, wow, they really don't look that good, but they're somehow able to win these games. So again, my key for the Eagles, not key here's how you beat them, but just my key thoughts on the Eagles before I get to the Niners is struggling offense in the sense of not nearly as good as last year. Struggling run defense. Certainly, I would say a beatable team. You just obviously have to be efficient. Otherwise, they will game manage against you and they will win, right? They're at home, so on and so forth. The Niners, my honest take on the Niners, I think, I know you for sure, but I think probably a lot of Niner fans might, be very, the opposite of optimistic, pessimistic towards this game and towards the Niners in general because they feel that the Seahawks exposed them. I'm not so sure that it was purely, now the code is out and every team knows how to beat us now. I think a lot of that was The Seahawks are just that good. And nobody wants to give them credit because their quarterback is Sam Darnold. But their offense has been rolling all year, and their defense has been even better. That's a great team.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
So let me tell you how the 49ers stack up I guess on offense. So, we already discussed where the Eagles kind of finish, like, their ranking wise. So the 49ers are top 5 in passing offense, or in terms of yardage. They average about 244 and a half yards per game. And rushing wise, they're bottom 10 with 106.9 yards per game. So I guess it could be worse. It could be much worse, but really, I would feel better about the chances if the 49ers were like a more physical and gritty, pound the rock kind of football team. But a finesse team going against this Eagles, going against the Eagles on the road, I think is going to be tough because, the 49ers are typically a fan base who travels well, and I just don't see them taking over the Eagles stadium, The Eagles,
no.
Philadelphia is such a tough place to play.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Do you want to give a final prediction, Mike? Because I really think another big factor is Ricky Pearsall going to play? Like, that would help this passing offense to, I guess, stretch the field a little bit, because you got to take what you can get.
Yeah. Has there been any reports on Purdy?
He's questionable.
I didn't hear anything.
Oh, Purdy? I think he's fine. I think he's fine. Let me just double check.
Has Trent Williams practiced at all? I'm assuming he's questionable.
I need to double check too, but Purdy is a full participant in practice this week after sustaining a minor left shoulder stinger. So,
which is non-throwing arm.
Yeah. So he should be fine. Trent Williams injury. All right, he's expected, according to the AI overview on Google, he's expected to play in the 49ers' first playoff game. But there really isn't much of an update. Let me see 49ers.com from Brianna Janelle, who's been a good team reporter. Let's see. Here are the updates. So, linebackers. D. Winters has an ankle. Luke Gifford, quad. Defensive lineman, Keon White, hamstring. Safety, Jair Brown, rib. So they'll all be monitored. Jair Brown is listed as day-to-day. Defensive lineman, Kalia Davis, has knee tendonitis and is also day-to-day. Tatum Bethune suffered a groin tear and will be out for the remainder of the season. And Mike, question, do you remember who the 49ers took in the second round?
You took Mykel Williams first round.
Oh, actually, third round. Sorry, third round. We took Alfred Collins second round. No. Well, he might have been another third round pick. Yeah, he was a third round pick.
Who was your second round pick?
Alfred Collins, the defensive tackle.
Was it another D tackle that you took in the third?
No.
Shit. Yeah, I don't know.
It was a linebacker named Nick Martin. And where the hell is he?
I'm pretty sure he was a pretty popular name in the draft, too.
Well, he kind of came out of nowhere. He was drafted from like a smaller school, and he hasn't played. Let me see how many snaps he's played this year.
Hmm. While you look for the snaps, I'll keep going on the game. I'm having a hard time picking this game. Like, honestly, I feel like maybe on many ends, for many other people, it's a pretty easy Eagles pick. Um, I think part of that Seahawks game that is slightly impressive is that not many teams were keeping the Seahawks close. You know, did it feel like it was close? No. It felt like the Seahawks were in control for most of that game. Although the Niners did get down to, the 10-yard line, and then McCaffrey somehow bumbles away a potential, not touchdown, but gets you really close to the goal line play, and it turns into an interception. Like, you guys were that close from being right back in that game, and then the Seahawks just took the momentum and ended the game.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I think
I forgot to mention it. That is.
I think getting Trent Williams back is big for the offense. This game is probably going to be physical. If I had to guess, the Eagles will show up through their star power. They have so many big bodies, so many great players in the trenches. You got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You got their corners. Of course, I'm forgetting both their names right now, but the what the fuck? He was one of my guys. I'm seeing his face. White kid on the DBs. Cooper DeJean. You got Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. You got their D tackles, Jordan Davis, and of course, Jalen. Jalen Carter. Damn. I know they also picked up Jalen Phillips this year in a trade from the Dolphins. And then I'm forgetting who their main edge defender is. Like, the Eagles are a loaded ass team. They are a loaded team on paper, but they just haven't, like, their record has lived up to that, sort of. But when you see what they put in, like, the box score, it's not all that impressive. And I just wonder if a team like the Niners can go in there and it turns out they didn't get completely, revealed, or, whatever the term would be, from the Seahawks game. And actually, it was the slap in the face that they needed,
Uh-huh.
And they go out there with this against the Eagles, and they have another tight, physical game against this Eagles team that's really star-studded. But I could see where the Niners offense is able to overwhelm their defense. My problem with the Niners is their defense. That's where I'm like, how can I not imagine Saquon going for 100 and at least a touchdown? How can I not imagine A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith just torching your defensive backs?
Killing them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's where I have to use my brain and pick the Eagles. But my heart really is telling me the Niners absolutely have a shot in this game.
I think they have a shot with their offense.
They have a fighting chance 100%. I think that's fully out the window if Trent Williams doesn't play. But, you lose a couple linebackers now. Your defense is getting depleted. You already didn't have a pass rush. I think in those physical games, you need the linebackers, right? That's what kind of held you up in, like, the Rams games before.
Here's the human element / storytelling element to it is, this team got eliminated by the Eagles a couple of years ago when they lost all three of their quarterbacks. Now it's kind of the other way around, where they have their quarterback's healthy and their entire roster is freaking injured. So, maybe the 49ers can, like, lock in. Because they're still a good football team. They won 12 games this year. Like, they're a good football team up and down. They just, a part of that is they didn't have the toughest schedule, but another part of that is, I mean, it's hard to win in the NFL regardless of who you're playing. So they have a recipe for success. It's just a matter of not. I think it's a matter of, is the defense going to be able to stop the Eagles on key plays, because if they're not, and the offense doesn't get into a rhythm, I see this being a repeat of the week prior.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm picking the Eagles to win this game because I just think that it's a matchup nightmare, and it's going to be on the road, and the 49ers, they should, I think, be proud of their season. And I say that as a fan who complains when they don't win the Super Bowl every year. But with the amount of injuries that they've had, like Nick Bosa hasn't played since week 3 and he's 4th in sacks. There's no pass rush on this team. Fred Warner broke his ankle. And like, I don't know, man. It's if the 49ers survive this week, then we're having a completely different conversation next week. But I'm not going to hold my breath this time around. I would have absolutely been feeling good and then also nervous of like, oh my God, we can go all the fucking way here if we beat the Seahawks. And I know that's like very overreactive as a 49er fan, but the road just becomes so much harder when you got to travel. Because now we're talking about, instead of being able to just not have to get on a plane and not have to get jet lagged, and then play in the comfort of your own home through the Super Bowl, we're talking, all right, well, you have absolutely no linebackers, like none at all, and you're playing against a team that has Saquon Barkley and a decent enough O-line, where they used to have like an elite O-line. I don't know what happened this year. I don't know if it was just play calling or what. But they have 2 borderline elite receivers. They can go anywhere with the football. And they have a really good tight end. Dallas Goedert has had a fucking hell of a year. It's just going to be a lot. And really what the 49ers need, and they've had this on their side a lot this year. The Niners just need to get lucky. Week 1 against Seattle, we probably should have lost. But Jake Tonjes reaches up and snatches that final throw from Brock Purdy for a touchdown, right? We need Alfred Collins to punch the ball out against the Rams. Kyron Williams on the 1 yard line to beat the Rams in Los Angeles, in Inglewood. They need to create plays on defense. That's what it's going to take to win this football game. It's going to be complementary football. If their defense can make plays, get the offense back on the field, and get them in a rhythm, the 49ers have a really good shot. But if they don't do that, I think there's no chance. No chance.
Yeah, basically the way that I view this, of the Niners winning this game, I guess it'd be less about like having those, for lack of a better term, not lucky plays, but those big moment, turnovers, what have you.
Clutch plays.
Yeah, clutch plays. I think what you guys need is to be uber efficient on offense, like you were against the Colts and the Bears. And you need the Eagles' offense to essentially not show up. Because if they do show up, they're going to have their way with that defense on paper. So that's where your offense has to be as efficient as it was, as like that Bears game, where I think they might have punted once in that game. Like that period of time where they didn't punt for like 2 or 3 straight games.
Yeah.
That's the offense that needs to show up on Sunday night.
Yep. Oh, it's going to be Sunday
That's
Night
the
Football
offense.
too? Nice.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not the afternoon?
Maybe it's 1 p.m. I'm trying to think of who else would be Sunday night.
It's 1. It's 1.
Oh, it's 1. Okay, so then
Yeah.
Sunday night, that might be the Charger game. That's probably Tyler's game.
Wild card weekend.
Well, we can go over it in the next topic, right?
Yeah, we're gonna go over it for sure.
So we both got Eagles at the end of the day.
All right, so it has come to my attention that Nick Martin he's been on IR since week 13. So, consider me fan of the year. But he got a concussion and they shut him down, put him on IR. But before that, Mike, do you want to guess how many snaps he played all season on defense?
On defense, I'm going to say like 17.
You're very close. He played 15 snaps on defense.
Nice.
So, third round pick. I'm getting on his case. Sorry. We needed you, man. But it's not his fault. The Niners went and took him.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm the dumb Raider fan, but not every player, progresses immediately into a starter. Like your Fred Warners and your George Kittles and your Max Crosbys, and those guys are a dime a dozen. Like most third round picks, you're expecting this to be a developmental backup that you hope becomes a starter someday. Like I don't think you draft many third round picks unless they're a kicker that you expect to start day one, or year one, really, which is a big topic for the Raiders' offensive line this year. Like, they drafted 2 third-rounders on the offensive line, but they didn't get their play until, like, week fucking 14.
Mike, you're right. You are a dumb Raider fan. No, no, I'm just playing. Well, halfway. You are a Raider fan. I would like somebody who could have at least contributed something, in the third round.
Yeah, I mean, in this win now window, it's integral. And that,
they weren't supposed to be win now this year, actually.
Yeah, that was part of it for sure. Was you come out of last season and it felt for most people like, yeah, that window's over. I've seen some people throughout the term, the Niners are rebuilding. I call bullshit. That's not the right term. Retooling, maybe, sure.
Recalibrating.
Michael Williams. Yeah, but this is nowhere near a rebuild if you still have George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, I guess Brandon Ayuk, which doesn't really count anymore, Trent Williams, like all these veteran players on your team. Like, if you were rebuilding, you would only have Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and Brock Purdy. And even Brock Purdy's kind of like would you still have him when you signed him last offseason? If it were a rebuild, like maybe you would trade him and start over completely. Get assets. Like, that's not what you guys are doing.
I kind of disagree, Mike. I think, all right, I want to like run through just kind of what the 49ers are lacking right now. And it's a lot. They need pass rushers. They need run stoppers. They need like a brand new defensive line pretty much because Michael Williams is out. Like they already started rebuilding the defensive line, right? They invested a lot of draft capital. They need linebackers. They need help in the secondary because, well, then again, they're playing very soft zone coverage. They're like bend don't break right now. So maybe if they would just stop being scared, they would play a lot better if they were more physical.
I think we're disconnecting is the term rebuild. Like me as a Raider fan, I am preparing to go through another rebuild right now. The Niners are not anywhere close to rebuilding the way that their team is set up. Now, if they go into the offseason and they go full fire Jim Harbaugh mode, and you just lose this guy, that guy, Frank Gore, Patrick Willis, this guy, that guy, now you're rebuilding. I'm saying you're retooling your defense. 100%. That was the draft's plan.
The offense
Like you
too. We
guys,
need receivers and we need O linemen, and we're going to need a running back pretty soon because Christian McCaffrey is going to be 30 next year.
yeah. But how are you guys going about it? That's my point. Is until you guys start selling off the valuable assets, you're not rebuilding, you're retooling. And that's
Mm.
fine. But that's what teams do every year. You have to retool.
Yeah, they're not demolishing, but to be fair, have the Raiders sold assets?
I mean, unfortunately, Pete Carroll did not read the room correctly when he looked at the roster. I'm very curious to see what they do with Max Crosby this offseason. He's the only valuable asset worth at least a first round pick that you can sell off at this stage in the roster. Like you cannot trade Brock Bowers. Trading Ashton Janty is useless. Um, I guess the next closest player would be Colton Miller, and I don't see you getting a big enough return to like validate that. Like just let him retire as a Raider and keep the blind side protected.
Yeah, like my argument for the 49ers rebuilding is that I genuinely don't know what need they're going to prioritize first this offseason because they just have so many, you know? Uh, like, I don't think that they're going to sell anybody, because really, if they sell anybody, that's going to create a bigger need. I'd say the guys that are, nobody's going to trade for Trent Williams right now. Nobody's going to trade for Christian McCaffrey right now.
I mean, maybe two or three
Who?
teams would at the top.
Who?
Well, the Texans would kill for him. I would have to imagine.
Okay.
Pairing him with that defense and Stroud would be insanity.
Okay. I'll accept that. That's a good answer.
If say I don't know the contracts of these players, if Ramondre Stevenson were a free agent this year, I could see the Patriots going for that. Pair him with Trayvon Henderson and just have a two-headed monster, similar to like the Lions, but obviously way more elusive, not powerful, like David Montgomery. If this team were good this year, I would have said, no. I was gonna say the Ravens, but fuck no. Not the Seahawks. I think the Broncos. So I would say Texans, Broncos, and under the right circumstances, Patriots. Like teams towards the top of the league. Maybe the Chiefs. The Chiefs too.
Yeah. Yeah. The Chiefs definitely.
Yeah.
They could probably use him as their fourth running back.
Imagine Sean Payton, who used to have Alvin Kamara, with Christian McCaffrey on that Broncos 1 seed team right now. That'd be dynamic.
Yeah. It's just McCaffrey is going to be 30 next year, and I think RJ Harvey's pretty good. Like now that he's actually playing, I think he's pretty good. But all right, going back to just like the whole rebuild thing, teams would absolutely love to trade for Fred Warner. Teams would absolutely love to trade for Nick Bosa. I just don't see the 49ers moving them.
You shouldn't. Like those are your core players are Boza and Fred Warner and Purdy, based off the contract and the way that he's played the past couple weeks. Like Purdy is very much in the future's plans.
I see teams trading for Kittle. Maybe Kittle's the guy.
Yeah. I guess my point is you're not fully rebuilding from like a win now team if you're keeping the big money quarterback and like most of the players. So if you go this offseason and Trent Williams retires, you trade George Kittle to the highest bidder, you trade McCaffrey to the highest bidder, and I don't know if Diamador Lenore is under contract. Like, you trade him,
He is.
which you guys need corners. I don't see why you would trade him. But, you give up some of those players and you still keep the Boza, Warner, and Purdy. Then I could see the term rebuild making sense.
I see your
But
point.
because you kept all those players for this current window, and you said, let's retool where we need it. You needed an edge defender opposite Boza. That was the priority. You did that in the first round. You needed a defensive tackle to help, stop the run. Excellent pick in the second round. Then you went linebacker because you needed help around Fred Warner. Corner, third round. You just focused on defense because you needed to retool there because your offense is a high-powered offense. You were missing Ayuk, and then he fucked off, for the entire season. He Antonio Browned you guys, practically.
Yeah.
I don't know what he did. So you guys were anticipating him coming back, plus Pearsall, a first-round pick last year, plus bring back Juwan Jennings, so on and so forth. Like, you guys looked good on offense. Maybe you could have used a little bit more help on the offensive line. I don't know. I'm not fully sure. But, I don't know. I
The
think
Ayuk stuff
retooling
sucks,
for sure.
man. He was one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
He was so fun to watch. Now he might not ever play football again.
Yeah, he is following the Antonio Brown path, that's for sure.
All we need to see is him with hashtag CTESPN.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all right. Just to finish on Nick Martin, he has played a total of 74 special team snaps. So, from week 7 to 13, he was playing a chunk of them, depending on which unit that he was exactly on. So, I don't know. To me, I feel like I want more out of my first 3 rounds, or the first 4 rounds.
Oh, I completely agree. Yeah, I'm not saying, like, I disagree with that. Just, it's not, like, the whole point that started this was just, it's hard to expect. I guess not from a fan's perspective, but from, like, a GM's perspective. Like, you can't pick a guy and go, all right, pencil him in at starting guard day one. Like, no way. As a third-round pick, Like, they got to go out there and show that they're ready for the NFL. Whether they're a guard, linebacker, whatever they are, Some end up being day one starters and some don't. And those guys you just hope develop and then become a starter soon.
Mm-hmm. Quick question, Mike. Who did you pick last week? 49ers or Seahawks? I think you picked the Niners.
No, I picked the Seahawks.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, we could roll it back on the video.
I swear you picked the 49ers. You said something along the lines of your heart was telling you the 49ers, but your brain was telling you the Seahawks.
Once you brought up the rain, I switched to the Seahawks.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I namely stated that their defense was what was pushing me towards the Seahawks. My heart was absolutely telling me Niners, but Niners at home. But once you brought up the weather, I was just like, this is what the Seahawks do week in and week out in Seattle. Like, yeah, I didn't see it versus that defense. Like, you guys hadn't seen the defense like that in a while, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. Wildcard opponent at Eagles. So I picked... We both picked Eagles.
Yeah.
And I've been wrong with the 49ers a lot this year. So, or at least I was very early on. I was like wrong. For the first 9 weeks, I was like 2 out of. Or you're asking how we finished for the Niner predictions?
Yeah.
Okay. I need your help here.
Yes.
Because I need to ensure that we got the right picks in. So week 10 versus the Rams. We both said Rams, right?
Honestly, I wouldn't remember.
And we were both
In
wrong.
part because you played him twice.
We were both wrong.
Hmm.
Okay. At Cardinals, we both picked 49ers, I believe.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we did. Panthers, we both picked 49ers. I know that. At Browns, we both picked 49ers. I know that. Titans, we both picked Niners. Okay. Colts, we both picked 49ers because they had Phillip Rivers. Bears, we picked 49ers. And then Seahawks, you were correct. And I was almost right. But I picked the Seahawks if it rains hard. That was my pick. So, all right, let's see. How many did I get right? So, 9 on. Okay, comma, D13 through D15, comma, through. Sorry, guys, I know it's like slowing down right now. Okay, luckily it's still early in the night. God, that's pretty bad. What you got there, Mike? You want to share with the class?
Oh, shit. This dude is just fucking Instagram. I follow this guy who does, like, hilarious voiceovers on, like, funny videos. And this dude that he's voicing over the video of is shooting, like, it must be like a sawed-off handheld shotgun with one arm. He's just holding it like this. And he shoots it, and the gun recoils right back into his face.
Jeez. All right. I've got the final count.
Okay.
So, do you want to guess how many I got right and how many you got right? Out of 17.
I'm going to say you got one more than me. Let's say you got like 8. I got 7.
All right. Drum roll. All right. Do you want me to give you yours first or mine?
We probably both got better than that. Give me mine first.
Okay. You said we probably both got better. What do you think? What do you think?
I'd say like I got 9, you got 10.
Okay. Mike got, drum roll, 11 out of 17.
Okay.
Josh got 8 out of 17.
God damn.
I didn't know how to gauge this football team, man. It's pretty bad.
Well, also injuries and all that doesn't help.
Yep. I can't wait to do it.
Purdy's injury, Boza, Fred Warner.
We honestly might be damn near perfect on the Raiders. Like, I think we maybe got 2 wrong. Or, well, I got maybe 3 wrong.
I remember last year there came a point where I was like, I just looked at the schedule, I was like, we're not going to win another game. And I mostly wrote on that. And then this year it was probably the same thing. I got to like the Bears game and I was like, we're not going to win another game after the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty much right.
Yep. But last thing I'll say about the Niners, I agree with my good friend here at Will Buckets. He says, we're chopped now, man. Unfortunately. It's it's bad. And then Demoke says, battle of the running backs. The one who establishes the run wins the game. I think the Eagles are going to have an easier time, personally. So, yeah. Especially if Trent Williams does not play. But
I'll say this on the Niners are chopped. If you guys had won that Seahawks game, give Kyle Shanahan the Coach of the Year award.
I think you should he should
absolutely be in consideration. Absolutely.
To win 12 games, losing, I think Purdy didn't play 6 games. Kittle didn't play like 8 games or 6 games. Hold on. I've got a great tweet from Vish Kumaran. Uh, let me pull this up. Vish. Okay. He replied to Mina Kimes with this great thing. Hold on here. All right, well, he has a newer one that I'm going to read, and then I'm going to find the other one. He says, why Kyle Shanahan deserves Coach of the Year. This year, the 49ers won 12 games despite finishing dead last in the NFL with 20 sacks. Teams who do this typically don't win. Over the past 3 years, the 3 teams that finished last in the NFL in sacks combined to win only 9 games. But let me find the one where he's replying to Mina Kimes. Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. It might be easier if I find what I liked on my account here, because I know I liked it.
I will say while you're doing that, I think they're going to end up giving it to the coach that beat you guys last week, being Mike McDonald.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I guess that makes sense because nobody expected them to go that far with Sam Darnold. But Mina Kimes said, Shanahan was my number 2 choice. Unfortunately, Saturday happened. Vish responds, this isn't the Super Bowl. How does one game decide a year-long award? Shanahan won 12 games without his 2 best defensive players, his quarterback missing 8 games, Kittle missing 6, no Ayuk, and Pearsall missing 8. They were winning NFL games with like 5% of their cap on the field, which is true. All their stars were missing time, and not only that, they have so much dead cap money. They genuinely rolled out like a Moneyball team and won hella games. That to me, I think this is Shanahan's best coaching job that he's done. He didn't have the odds, stacked like in his favor the entire season.
Yeah, I think if I were if it were my decision, who was the coach of the year, and it was literally only up to me, I would take as long as I could to really look at each, of the candidates. Let's say they give me 5 candidates. It's like Mike McDonald, Kyle Shanahan, Sean Payton, Mike Vrabel, probably Ben Johnson. Maybe I'm missing somebody, but those would be the top 5 that I could think of off the top of my head. It's not Sirianni.
I would entertain Ben Johnson too. I would entertain that pick as well.
Like you're saying, just in general.
Like, I like that pick because that team went from like being dead last.
Liam Cohen.
Oh, yeah, him too. Cohen.
Yeah. But the thing, like, I guess it's which story do you want to go with?
Yeah.
Because I think the easy one for the voters to go for is who won the most? And that's Mike McDonald or Sean Payton.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, to me, the Seahawks is a little bit more impressive. But then if you want to go with who completely turned their team around, it's Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, and Liam Cohen. But then there's the last guy, and that's who won against all the fucking odds by coaching his ass off. That's Kyle Shanahan. And I think if the coaching award, Coach of the Year, was a serious award, it probably would go to Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
But it'll probably be a popularity contest of who won the most, or
And
who
it's
shocked us the most, which might be Liam Cohen.
and it sucks because didn't Dayball win the year that Shanahan had like the most wins in the NFL? Like I feel like the voters are pretty inconsistent when it comes to this, and I feel like he deserves it this year for sure.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm not sure if
Um,
it's stable. There is a coach who is currently available who has 2 Coach of the Year awards,
John
which we will
Harbaugh.
get to. Well, he might. That was news today. We'll get to
Yeah.
that too, but there's another guy. I
Okay.
didn't realize that he was a 2-time Coach of the Year.
Was he? I don't know.
Yeah. Pete Carroll.
Oh,
No, I'm just fucking with you. I don't know. I don't know if he has, but there is a guy. I will say his name. There's a guy who is a 2-time Coach of the Year on the
oh,
market
I
right
know
now.
exactly who you're talking about.
Hmm.
But like
Antonio
the
Pierce.
the legit award, he won it twice. No, he didn't.
Who are you thinking?
Kevin Stefanski.
Correct.
But
2-time Coach of the Year.
I saw that. There's no way that he won the NFL Coach of the Year. NFL Coach of the Year award winners years past. Okay. All right. Let's go here. The Browns went 11-6. Damn, you're right. What the? Why?
Baker. That was with Baker. Pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Those like peak Nick Chubb years.
Dayball won the year where the 49ers came back after starting like 0-5. Or
Hmm.
no, they were that wasn't the 0-5 year. That was 21. Uh or no, it might have been 1-5. Sorry. Um
Did
but
Dable
yeah.
win with the Giants?
Yes, they were 9-7-1.
Wow.
So
Huh.
Kevin O'Connell
Yeah,
last year
sometimes.
because I think that made a lot of sense. How far they
Yeah.
went with Darnold.
Yes.
How many
Yes.
games they won with Darnold?
Yeah. Um.
Matt Nagy won in 2018. It's crazy.
Wow.
They went 12-4.
Wow. There's a lot of Coach of the Years on the market right now.
Hey, there's another one on the market right
Jesus.
now. Actually, there's 3 on the market right now. Ooh, another 2-time. Two times. Hold on.
Okay. Wait. Mike McCarthy.
No.
John Harbaugh.
Okay, John Harbaugh. Yes, but I wasn't counting him.
Right.
John Harbaugh. Actually, he might have only won one.
Hmm.
Jim Harbaugh, won in 2011. So yeah, John Harbaugh has only won one.
Okay. Is Pete Carroll one of them? I don't think so.
Okay. Pete Carroll, I don't think has ever won Coach of the Year.
Wow.
Let me see. Pete. Nope.
You would think he'd have at least one.
Nope. He never won Coach of the Year.
Wow. Okay. So there are multiple 2-timers, you're saying?
Yes, there are multiple Andy Reid has won 4 times. Wow.
Wow. He's a Hall of Famer day one.
Yeah,
Not a
for
question.
sure.
I didn't even
Okay.
have to say that.
There's
Okay,
there's
so
a 3-time that's available right now.
okay,
Well, I don't
well,
know
is
how available
technically
they are.
yeah. Are we talking Belichick?
No.
Okay. Garrett is apparently gonna interview with like the Giant
Oh,
or no, the Titans.
hold on. All right. Andy Reid only has 3. I was I saw the Greasy Neal Award, and then he has 4 of those. Let me go
Okay.
back to the correct list. The AP NFL.
AP.
Okay. All right. So there's a couple guys here, and I'm not including Bill Belichick.
Hmm. So are they a bit older, or are they like recently with other teams?
Recently with other teams, one might be a bit older.
Okay. Is John Gruden one of the answers?
No.
Okay. Uh,
Andy Reid has only won it once.
hmm. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like when you're saying like Brian Dable and fucking
No, Dayball did
Matt.
win. Did
Well,
win.
yeah, I'm saying did like Dable and Matt Nagy. I'm like, yeah, I think this award goes to the guys who did it against the odds, and that's like that screams Liam Cohen this year. Um, or Mike Vrabel, who probably has already won one before with the Titans. He must have. Wow, he totally deserved it at one point for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, he
Um,
did. 2021.
oh, okay, cool.
I didn't see it.
Um, available coaches with multiple Coach of the Year awards.
Yes.
Wow.
One might be technically retired.
Not Mike Zimmer.
No.
Uh,
Why is there an asterisk on this one?
shit.
Oh, there was. So
Was there a tie?
no, one of them was an interim coach who won Coach of the Year. I'll give you the year that they won. That interim year.
Oh,
20
say it. 2010.
2012.
That is Bruce Arians.
Yes. Yeah,
When
Bruce.
he was the interim for the Steelers, right?
Yeah, no, for the Colts.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Okay.
Was that when Chuck Pagano got cancer?
Yes. It was like week 2 and he took over.
Okay. So Bruce Arians, I think he's technically retired. He, I think, works in the front office for the Bucks.
Tampa,
Maybe still.
yeah.
But there are. So he's a 2-time Coach of the Year. Who is the other one? Who is available? Well, not entirely available either, but could be. He currently coaches college.
Well, that screams Belichick, but
Nope.
shit.
I'll give you like the answer is way more obvious than you would think, and you're gonna hate
Right.
yourself. You're gonna hate yourself.
It's not. Oh my god, is it?
Oh,
I'm totally forgetting. Is it the former Texans coach?
no.
I was gonna say he's not a Coach of the Year type guy. That guy
Okay.
sucked.
This person is not coaching, but they are involved in a college football program.
Oh, Ron Rivera.
Ron Rivera, 2-time.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I was like, coach? Somebody coaching in college right now? Gotcha.
Damn, he won
Okay.
2013 and 2015. It's a good Carolina.
That 2015 year was crazy.
Yes. 15-1.
Yeah.
10 years ago already. Crazy.
Going on 11.
Okay, other head coach of the year candidates who are available. Obviously, Kevin Stefanski 2 times. I never was that impressed with him personally.
I was
But-
back and forth with him.
John Harbaugh. Who would have thought that the Ravens would fire him?
Yeah.
That to me is crazy. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, isn't he? Or is he one time?
One time
One time, yeah.
that I know of.
Yeah.
What's up, Joel?
No, the
I
Ravens.
like that song.
Ray Lewis is a two-time Super Bowl champion, not John Harbaugh.
Yeah. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess Dayball technically is another head coach of the year that's available if you want him, Mike. You might want him as an offensive coordinator. That's
the
report.
What's our next topic?
Okay, we're gonna do wild card stuff, and then we'll.
Okay. Yeah, keep that tab open. We'll get back to that.
Okay.
We'll keep
sorry.
it moving. We'll keep it moving.
Oh man, there was something in the air that night. All right. Well, we're getting there, Joel. Sorry, this is a long one so far tonight. Pause. Let's talk about the wild card games. Mike, can you pull up the schedule in order, and we do like a quick, pick 'em?
Yes. I'm assuming I didn't save a photo.
Also, we hope that you've been well, Joel. I just saw that one. Sorry, I was mesmerized by Fernando. I said it how Grant says it, because Grant had this tweet where he's like, "This pisses me off," because like I guess a Raider fan made a video like with that song, because Grant has been singing that song on his streams for like the past 6 years. Yeah.
Just because he likes the song.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. People literally super chat him money, and then they go, "Can I get a Fernando?" And then he'll go, Fernando. Like, and then when they drafted Garendo, he's like, Garendo. It's pretty funny.
All right.
It had to be there.
So, all right. All right. It's pretty funny. You had to be there.
I got that from a comedian. Yeah. There's this comedian, I forget who it was, but they go, oh, I think it was Nick Swartzen. He goes, when you're telling someone a really funny story and you realize halfway through that it's not as funny when you say it out loud, and then you just have to
feeling.
You had to hit him with, you had to be there.
Yeah. Oh man. All right, so Saturday, January 10th at 1:30 p.m. Pacific.
You don't have to tell me which day. Oh, I guess it helps with the context of picking them.
Yeah. 1:30 p.m. Pacific on Fox on Saturday, Rams at Panthers. Probably the easiest game to pick this weekend.
I don't know. The Panthers beat the Rams a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think almost any game, anything can happen. Mm-hmm. Any given Sunday, or in this case, any given Saturday. I think the Panthers have a shot, but I will say they have much less of a shot than, say, the Niners do versus the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. How does this look? I completely covered us on the screen.
Nice.
We haven't done something like this in a while, so this is exciting.
Yeah. I was gonna say, when you were like bringing up all these like stats and stuff or whatnot, I was like, this is
Pull
where
it on
like
the screen.
Well, I know. Well, I'm just like, this is where having like post video edits to put in like graphics is like, that's where YouTube videos just, they eat it up. Yeah. Anyways, pause. But yes, we got Rams, Panthers. I mean, if you want my pick, I'm gonna pick the Rams.
I'm picking the Rams as well.
Yeah, I don't really.
I hope the Panthers win.
I hope the Panthers make it a really fun game, but I just sort of similar to how I feel about the Eagles, although I genuinely do have a feeling that the Niners can make it a game. I just feel like teams like the Rams and the Eagles, and maybe like the Broncos, like their star-studded rosters should show up in these playoffs.
Yeah.
specifically the Rams and Eagles.
Okay.
Next game. At 5 p.m. on Prime Video on Saturday, Packers at Bears. Divisional matchup.
Packers at Bears. Okay. Can I go first on this one?
Yeah.
Give me the Bears. I'm picking the Bears at home. I think the Packers are one and done.
Let me see something. I'm gonna click on this shit.
I think Josh Jacobs has been banged up with a knee injury for a while.
Yeah.
Jordan Love has been dealing with whatever the hell he's dealing with. The Bears are actually good. They're pretty good. I'll take the Bears.
I would pick the Packers if Micah Parsons wasn't out. I could absolutely see the Packers pulling off the upset in a divisional matchup like this, where it's like the Bears just aren't ready for it yet, and the Packers have been there a little bit enough, you know, especially their coaching. But I just don't see it for the Packers roster unless they can control the game script and, you know, just control the time of possession with Josh Jacobs. You know, that's their only way, in my opinion. But the Bears' offense is too good for that defense, I think, without Micah Parsons.
Another thing too, fun fact about that game. Guess who the Bears' last win was against?
On the season?
Yeah.
I would imagine the Packers.
Yes. And guess who the Packers' last win was against?
Oh, shit. Was it the Bears?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
Huh.
Let me see.
Yeah, I mean, that checks out. Because they were looking way better earlier in the season, and then they just kind of stumbled their way to the 7th seed.
Yeah. The Lions not being in is crazy. Let's see. Yeah, their last win was against the Bears because they lost to the Broncos, lost to the Bears.
Ravens, Vikings.
Yeah. Oh, can you see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, sweet.
Huh. Yeah, good thing it wasn't your other browser.
That would have sucked. It probably would have shown a 5-time champion or something.
Oh, yeah. Or his notes.
Oh!
Fantasy notes.
Oh, damn. I can finally show you those.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I could show you my non-existent notes.
You didn't take notes?
Not heavily, no.
Like going into the draft?
I mean, I probably made a big board. I don't know where that is. I could probably find it. But I don't think I had like notes.
Mm-hmm. That spreadsheet is wild. I don't know if I can do it. I'll do it again. I will make time, and then I will win again. I have one leg of my three-peat. Okay, I want to be the first in the league to do it.
God help us if you do.
Yeah.
Sunday, January
God help
11th.
us if I do it in 2 years.
Yeah.
You guys would just quit at that point, bro.
I think we would just be in it for the food on draft day.
Yeah. Just
all
right, the annual pay Josh.
Yeah. It's really a fucking holiday at this point for Josh.
It
like
is
Christmas.
for me.
Yeah.
I would do it for free, to be honest.
Yeah, no, for sure. Agreed.
I would play for free.
Yeah, I have multiple other leagues that I have for free. Fuck it. My favorite matchup of the weekend is unfortunately at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Ooh. It's Bills at Jaguars.
Ooh.
On Sunday. That is fucking juicy. and I might have to take a
Big
second to pick right
meaty
here.
claws. Yeah, I'm gonna take a second.
13-4 Jags, 12-5 Bills. Um, my heart is leading Bills. My brain is leading Jags. I want to see Josh Allen do superhero things. Um, but the Jaguars might secretly, which really not so secretly, be the hottest team in football, not named the Seahawks. Because they beat the shit out of the Broncos a couple weeks
Mm.
ago.
To be
And
honest,
I just think the Bills team surrounding Josh Allen and or not Dalvin, James Cook, the rest of their team, I couldn't give less of a fuck about. Like I don't take them that seriously.
yeah.
Whereas the Jags look like a real team with a
Uh,
real play caller. Like Liam Cohen, he is legit.
yeah, I'm gonna pick the Jaguars. And my reasoning is that I feel like a really good defense can probably neutralize Josh Allen, which I think the Jaguars actually do have a pretty good defense this year.
Yeah.
At least they impressed me when they played against the 49ers for sure. And I don't know, man. Like you said, outside of Josh Allen and James Cook, like the Bills are very unimpressive,
Yeah.
really on both sides
I,
of the football. I love Josh Allen. I would love for him to get his Super Bowl, especially in the Bay Area, if it's not
oh, that'd
against
be
the
cool.
49ers.
Right.
But you know, I gotta say, uh, Liam Cohen has done a tremendous job. The Bills are one of the worst teams against the run, and Travis Etienne is playing very well. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to take the Jaguars, but it would not shock me if Josh Allen just has a legacy game.
Yeah. I'd love to see Josh Allen, turn this into a fucking amazing game and, win in the last second, just go full superhero. Um, but I have to pick the Jaguars in large part because currently, looking at the playoffs, it's a toss up for me between the Rams and the Seahawks right now. But I've currently got it as Rams Jaguars for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent pick. I think maybe the Broncos could probably go all the way, which sounds so disgusting. But
Yeah, I mean,
that Broncos defense is nasty.
yeah, for me, it's like I can easily see the Broncos and Seahawks just going all the way. But the two hot teams, well, the Rams actually are not hot. They just have the right roster, you know, and they just
That
need guys like Devontae Adams to be healthy.
I'm telling you, that Broncos team would eat that Seahawks team alive on defense.
Yeah, I think when you get to the Super Bowl, that might be where Sam Darnold has a tough time against a defense like that. Um, but I've also seen games this year where Bo Nix and the Broncos offense as a whole is not that impressive, and I could see the Seahawks causing that for them.
I
And then at
hate
that point, it's similar to this past Niner game where it's like very low scoring. Who controls the possessions? Who controls the pace of the game?
I hate the Rams, and I really don't want to see them win. But that Broncos secondary versus that Rams passing attack, oh man, that would be must see
W.
football.
Yeah,
Imagine Puka lined up with Pat Surtain. Oh,
yeah, yeah. That'd be
oh
good.
man, that's a match made in heaven right there. And then
Bo
Devonte
Nix.
Adams possibly getting a ring.
Yeah, true. It'd be strange though seeing like Bo Nix representing the AFC. I mean, whoever represent like if imagine Trevor Lawrence representing the AFC, like that's crazy. It's not Pat Mahomes, it's not Tom Brady, it's not Peyton Manning, it's not Ben Roethlisberger. Like yeah, that sounds crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, anyways,
One thing I want to say, and this will be quick. One of my favorite playoff runs watching it when the Niners were. I mean, the Niners are in it now, but I have like a fond memory of how comfortable I was just watching the playoffs on on the couch in the sunroom while I was playing my Switch and the games were just on in the background and I was like I think I was playing Tecmo Bowl on like the Switch Online thing. And like I was having a fun time doing that and I was just like vibing. I was on winter break from college and like life was just so different. It was so relaxing.
I remember being at your house for the Chargers Jags game.
Oh yeah. Hey,
That was
that
crazy.
that was insane. I do remember. What were we doing? We're probably playing NFL Street.
We probably were, and we were like, "Fuck this game," but we kept it on.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we could like hear it coming back. We're like, "No fucking way!" And then they came back.
Yep. Damn, we got to watch some playoffs, Mike.
Yeah, especially if we're not going to do the whatchamajigger, uh, fantasy football stuff. I'm pretty busy this weekend. I might be able to do something next weekend, but we'll see. Because my uncle's birthday's next weekend.
Okay, so just fuck off then, right? No, I'm just playing.
Well, maybe the championships or something. I don't know. We'll
No,
figure it out.
I'm playing. I'm playing with you. Let's see. What's the next game? It's
Niners
49ers. Okay.
Yeah, 1:30 p.m.
We
on
both picked
Fox.
Eagles. We already talked about it. No need to delve
Yeah.
further. All right.
And then 5 p.m. on NBC/Peacock, Chargers at Patriots. Um, I've got to go with the Patriots just because of the Chargers' offensive line. But I guess this would be another one where, similar to the Bills, where could the quarterback do superhero things, you know? And then paired with that, against this Patriots team, the Chargers defense would have to, be uh, better than they usually are, I guess. Um, I could see the avenue for the Chargers, but yeah, I
Okay.
see what you're. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot that like you can see what I'm looking up. The Chargers have the most teams or the most wins, I think, against teams that are above 500, and I think the
Mhm.
Patriots might not have very many wins,
They probably
at
have like
least
one or
for
two.
one of the playoff games or playoff teams.
Yeah,
Uh
it's a
I'm going to
great
go with
point.
I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think they're a tough football team. It feels like they're not gelling at the right time, but
Mm.
give me the upset here. I think Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. I think Jim Harbaugh is he is able to prepare his team for a game like this, where
Yeah,
it seems like they're headed to Foxborough and they're gonna lose. But I've seen Jim Harbaugh get a 49er team ready to play in the snow, in very, very cold conditions. And Colin Kaepernick just came out with no sleeves in like, it might have been, what was the temperature in that game? That was crazy. Uh,
Mm.
give me the Chargers. I
yeah,
think Herbert gets his first playoff win, gets that monkey off his back this year. If he
I like
doesn't,
that
God
pick.
help him.
Yeah, I mean the Chargers, regardless, need to focus on offensive line this offseason, same as the Raiders. Um,
Well, the Chargers did focus on offensive line, and then they all got hurt.
yeah, yeah, well, true. I mean, you lose Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. That's huge.
What
I
about
forgot
Becton?
about them. Becton just sucked,
Oh, did he?
apparently. Yeah. And then their center blows. Um, and I'm assuming their other guard probably does too. Was it Zion Johnson or whatever?
Mhm.
Um, Texans at Steelers, Monday Night Football, ESPN, 5:15 p.m. This is easy. It's Texans. Texans defense. Uh, I mean, I would have preferred to have seen the Ravens in this game, Uh, but then again, I mean, getting a playoff game with Aaron Rodgers at home is fun. So, fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to
Damn.
see it. I mean, I will say the Steelers' running backs are nice, but
Yeah.
what do we expect them to do against the Texans' defense? Like, I'm sorry, the Texans are going to kill them. I mean,
Yeah.
okay. The problem for the Texans is their offense isn't always super high, high scoring. Like if the Steelers defense shows up in this game, it could be a tight one, but I still see the Texans winning it.
I agree. I'm picking the Texans just for that defense. Um, that being said, that one could go the Steelers' way, and I could see that too. Um, so yeah, that's it for the picks here. Let me go ahead and stop sharing this. Joel picked the Steelers. Wow.
Wow.
He said, "Give me the Steelers." Sorry, Joel. We weren't ignoring you. We just couldn't see your comments for the time being. But yeah, so that's very interesting. Let's go ahead and move on, Michael, to what Joel has been waiting for this whole time. The Raiders versus Chiefs recap. I think that's the one Raider topic. If he had to hear one all night, that's the one that he wants to listen to. I'm just kidding. The Raiders, they won and ruined their chances of the first overall pick, right, Mike? And Pete Carroll saved his job.
Thankfully, after sleeping in a little bit on Sunday, I woke up to a resounding Giants lead over the Cowboys. And I was like scrambling, like looking for the mathematics on how does this affect the Raiders. And as it turned out, I didn't know that that's all they needed. I didn't know that all they needed was the Giants to win on Sunday, and mathematically the Raiders now had the tiebreaker over all the other teams with 3 wins for the first overall pick at that point, strength of schedule.
Yeah.
So once the Giants won, the Raiders locked in that first overall pick before they even kicked off against the Chiefs. It was official. I highly doubt that affected their play. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that it affected the way that Pete Carroll coached in this game. So thank you, God, that the Giants beat the Cowboys, man, because the Raiders beat the Chiefs. And it seemed to me like the Raiders kind of went in this game like, well, let's have some fun. Let's get everybody on the field. Everybody that's healthy, let's get you on the field at least a little bit. I saw Charles Grant on the field, which has been a theme the past couple weeks. An offensive line, offensive tackle. I saw at one point Tristan McCullum at safety. He's one of my least favorite players on special teams. The fact that he was playing safety, oh my God. I saw a lot of players. 44, either Lindenberg or Eichenberg, whatever his name is. It ends with Enberg. I know that. Yeah, everybody's playing. Jamal Adams, everybody. And they won. There's not really much to say here. It was a field goal battle. What really is to be said about this game is that Tyree Wilson had his best game of his career to finish, I believe, his 3rd season in the NFL now. And I want to say, I could be wrong. Maybe it's this offseason where they decide. But if they had to decide his 5th-year option last offseason, they declined it. But if they didn't, I'm pulling shit out of my ass, and they'll decide this offseason. But I'm pretty sure it's going into the 3rd year.
No, going into the 4th.
Fuck. Well, then they have a shot. And honestly, I think that might be really telling on what they might plan to do with Malcolm Kuntz. I'd say our next pod, well, actually, probably post-playoffs is when we'll get into, like, free agency and stuff, but Malcolm Kuntz is a notable upcoming free agent. Depending on what they plan on doing with Crosby, I would assume they plan on keeping him, but he could change that,
Yeah. So the 5th-year option, which extends a first-round rookie's 4 4-year deal for a fifth must be exercised by the team before the player's fourth season begins.
Okay, so then yeah, that's this year, this upcoming off season.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, that's a big decision because it is very important to have players on the edge, and Tyree Wilson has not been a very consistent player. But if he can play more like he did this Sunday, if he can develop more into that guy, I I would much rather, as much as I in hindsight don't care for the pick, I'd much rather you know try as hard as we can to develop him into a viable starter than to just be like, let him walk. Like, I think a big key for this team with John Spytek, which we'll get to him in a second, is you need to develop players that are homegrown. We can't keep doing this free agency bullshit with the Corey Littletons, the Nick Kwiatkowskis, Corey Littleton.
You already said him.
I said Corey Littleton already?
You said him twice.
Well, that's how much I don't like that signing.
The Corey Littletons, the Nick Kwiatkowskis, the Corey Littleton.
Sorry. Yeah,
I know
the
who
Warren
you're talking
Sapps, the Randy Mosses, the Corey Littletons. There was a defensive back from like the Jags that we signed. I remember him. Was it LaMarcus Joyner?
Probably.
Just was absolutely dog shit. Like all these big free agency signings. Like honestly,
Christian Wilkins.
Dude, I forgot about that until this past week. I saw a guy on TikTok.
No, it's Twitter.
It was after the. No. I commented specifically on a TikTok. I don't comment on TikTok, but I was like, "Fuck it, I got time today," because this dude was asking like, "Raider fans, what happened to your team this year? Like, please comment and let me know like what happened to your team." And I was like, "Got you, brother." I just laid it down. But he was. I think it was post the Giants game, not the, obviously the Chiefs game, but. One thing that hit me while I was typing that message of just like, what went wrong? What went wrong? I could read it. Do you want me to read it?
Sure.
Sure, just to summarize the season, okay? Let's see.
Okay, real quick, I do want to say somebody on Twitter, I think there was a tweet maybe posted in the group chat, or that was shared in the group chat, and it was talking about how, Christian Wilkins, nobody ended up signing him, so he must have been, like those allegations must have been true. Yeah, like he must have been the diddler or whatever. And then I can't help but think, man, the 49ers, they really fucked up, right? All right, not that I don't care. I don't know what Christian Wilkins did. But man, would he help this football team right now?
I wonder. Well, I think part of the reason why he's not signed also might be because he can't even pass a physical. Because he also had like an ankle injury that he was refusing to get surgery on that would have promptly got him ready for the season or some shit. And he was like, "No, I'm not doing that." And they were like, "Well, at this point, you're doing conduct detrimental to the team." And then there was shit on top of that with a teammate, and it was like, "Yeah, dude, you're out of here." And I think this is going to be like at least this off season, if not multiple off season long, like financial battle over his like guarantees and shit.
Okay, but why didn't the Niners sign Matthew Judon a couple weeks ago?
I don't know. Yeah, free agency's weird. Like, a lot of teams just go with like these like really young unknown guys, and there's like, free agent big names out there that just like are sitting there. Like I remember, I want to say a couple years ago, like the Steelers signed Melvin Ingram just out of nowhere, and he just jumps in and becomes their starter for like the rest of the season. It's like, why didn't anybody else do that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll do this. I'm going to just read some key stats from this Chiefs game. We'll move on to the next topic, and then I'll read that thing that I was going to read. Okay?
Okay.
Kenny Pickett was the starter for this game. And when Kenny Pickett was on the field for his 4 pass attempts, the Raiders were for sure going to lose this game. And then came Aiden O'Connell, who I learned on like Wednesday that according to Pete Carroll, Geno Smith was not going to, make it back for this game. He wasn't healthy. I remember you predicted if Geno played, you would have chose the Raiders, but because he didn't play, you chose the Chiefs in this game.
Yeah, didn't I say if Aiden O'Connell comes in, that all right? I said something along the lines of if Aiden O'Connell plays, then I could see the Raiders winning the game. But if I think my pick was if Kenny Pickett plays.
Right. So I'm pretty sure you were keying in on Kenny Pickett because at the time our information was, well, Kenny Pickett's the 2, and I literally just had brought up Aiden O'Connell of like, where the hell has he been all season? Like, I know he's been injured, but like, damn. But your point was you could see Geno Smith coming in, middle fingers ablazing, like, fuck your first overall pick. This is my last shot. I'm gonna win this game.
Mm-hmm.
So if what you did, and you could go back and correct me, but I'm pretty sure what you said is if Geno starts, you're choosing the Raiders. If Kenny Pickett starts or plays, and if Geno's out, you're picking the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And I was in a pretty similar boat, but I was just like, I'll just pick the Chiefs regardless. And obviously we were wrong. And thank God it didn't matter towards that first overall pick.
I swear I might have said something about Aiden O'Connell. But
yeah, I mean, I would say definitely go back and check. But to that point, Aiden O'Connell goes 10 for 22 for 102 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Not impressive on the page. But what I noticed from him was he was willing to push it down the field, which Kenny Pickett was never willing to do. Geno Smith was definitely early on in the season. And then any other time, it was getting caught by the other team, by Geno. Just something about Aiden O'Connell's performance, and namely the Raiders winning, told me while watching this game, if Aiden O'Connell were healthy this year, we would not have the first overall pick. I guarantee it. Ashton Jeanty goes 26 carries for 87 yards as a 3.3 yard average. He had a long of 12 yards. A lot of the usual suspects in the offensive line where, he's getting stuffed. -1 yard. But then he has those occasional carries where he busts out a 10-yard run, and he looks fucking phenomenal. Like, you put an offensive line in front of this guy, you get another receiver on this roster to line up on the outside, and you make the defense a little bit more honest. Ashton Jeanty is going to be great. It's just a matter of can you surround him with the right talent. Michael Mayer had a good game. I mean, 3 catches for 47 yards doesn't sound like much, but he had a big clutch catch at the end. He had another deep one early on in the game. His longest was 23 yards.
If the Raiders want to be set up for success, use that.
Yeah.
Okay. If the Raiders are serious about wanting to be set up for success, the number one thing that I think derails a young quarterback's career is injuries. Like, seriously. Look at Joe Burrow. Look at Andrew Luck. Like, they showed promise, but they've been injured. And what did they both have in common? Terrible offensive lines. Yeah. Bite the bullet. Trade Max Crosby, because Max Crosby's not going to fucking help you win. Use those. If there are offensive linemen that you like in the draft, I'm sure the Rams would have no problem trading both their first-round picks this year. You can get 2 firsts this year and potentially more for Max Crosby and build a wall around Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
or whoever the quarterback is, right?
Right.
Uh, Honestly, I would do that in a heartbeat if I were the Raiders. Yes, one of these guys might not pan out, but that's your best shot, I think, at you know, that's your best shot, I think, at having not just a quarterback, but keeping them fresh and upright. Derek Carr, his best year was 2016, and now I think it was no coincidence they had a badass offensive line. They didn't have the best defense.
No,
Fuck.
they're the defense. Well, Khalil Mack was key because they were
Yes.
getting turnovers in clutch moments from Khalil Mack. But other than that, yeah, their defense is not special.
I would honestly, I would try to build a line, man. Like the Falcons have like a middle pick, and then the Rams would have like a end of the first round pick. But does that seem so bad, Mike? Like, all right, because not only would you have a higher likelihood of you know presumably Fernando Mendoza staying healthy, but you already drafted your running back of the future and they don't last long. You can actually get them going and have a good functioning offense.
Yeah, I uh, I think whoever they get to call plays for the defense would be integral towards that decision. Um, and also what offers they get for Max Crosby if if Spytek is willing to part with him. Um, there's definitely a conversation to be had in the next couple weeks. I don't want to draw the pod out too long, but the way that I feel right now is, I guess the right term would be, I'm indifferent towards the thought of that. I think I want what's best for the franchise, and I think a lot of fans will refuse that idea, whereas I am completely open to the idea of trading Max Crosby, but it has to be at the right price.
The
Um,
fans will be pissed immediately. You traded Crosby for picks. These picks might not even pan out. But then
yeah, we've seen this
if
before.
you turn it into an offensive line and you guys actually have an offense worth watching, like all right, the fans are never going to forget about Crosby, whether he gets traded, whether he gets released, whether he retires. It's going to be like, man, something's missing here. Unless you guys win,
Mm.
like even if you guys won a Super Bowl, it'd be like, man, we could have had probably Max Crosby along for the ride here. Unless like, the players that you get in return for Max Crosby are like one of the determining factors. Like even then, just knowing how fans are, like when the Raiders traded Khalil Mack, right? I felt like there was a lot of like I still see a lot of things of like, man, that team was special, or like, I wish we would have found a way to keep Khalil Mack even if we paid him. We could have found another running back, like that kind of stuff. Like
Mm.
he should have retired a Raider. That sentiment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I'm
it's
telling you,
it's a
he's a
tough
fucking
topic.
Ram. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Today is January 6, 2026. A couple months from now, we're going to do a podcast. Max Crosby traded to the Rams before the draft, maybe even on draft day. That'd be
mm,
a draft day splash. And the Raiders will have won the night on draft day. Taking 3 risks or however many risks.
I mean that would yeah. I mean that would be a lot of draft capital. That's for sure.
Would you not be elated to find out, oh my god, we got a quarterback and we have 2 more picks this round and tonight, you know?
I so my first thoughts towards that, like actual thinking rather than just like I'm indifferent and like I want what's best ultimately for the team. Um, One, the big sell or the selling point for this trade idea is that this is a move that is made with the long term in mind. Because Max Crosby in his contract is like the next 4 seasons. Like, that's pretty long term in the NFL. But in theory, if you're getting 2 or more first round picks, by more I mean like 2 plus a second or something like that, like what we got for Mac. If you hit on those players, which is not a guarantee at all, ask John Gruden, you're getting players, potentially key players, building blocks for your franchise who will last you north of 10 years, right? So It's like 4 years of Max Crosby slowly but surely declining, think Devontae Adams, or 10 years of a great offensive tackle, right tackle.
Yeah.
Of a great wide receiver to pair with the quarterback.
A potentially great. You see, here's the thing. They don't have to be great. Colton Miller, I don't think was great, but he was worth the pick because he was solid.
Yeah.
He's been solid and he's played a lot, and he's a big reason why, your quarterbacks haven't entirely gotten killed. You just haven't had a good quarterback. Now you might actually have a good quarterback. Fucking protect him. That's the biggest mistake. All right, the Chargers might have won the AFC West this year if their offensive line didn't get hurt. Yes, these linemen can get hurt, but so can any player on the fucking football field. Make the smart moves. Even Joel agrees. He says, it sucks, but I agree. Max value is high right now, and the Raiders and him just aren't on the same timeline. I don't think it's the same timeline, and if you want Ashton Genty's timeline to work out, build an offensive line. Run the football.
Yeah, I think
protect the quarterback.
Max's value isn't going to get any higher. Well, it could, I guess, if he has like a MVP season or Defensive Player of the Year season next year. But, statistically, where his age is of like 28 years old, 29, his value in a trade is not going to get any higher. This would be the time to sell him for sure. Kind of going off that conversation from earlier of like, what is a rebuild? Like, you sell Crosby, you're drafting a quarterback first overall. Yeah, we're rebuilding. Like, that's a telltale sign. The other question that I have towards a trade with Crosby, and then we can move on, is how does that affect the cap? How much do the Raiders continue to spend on Crosby relative to the team that acquires him? Like, I don't mind spending a bunch in a front-loaded sense for the next, 2 years because we have a lot of cap space on the books, or on the books for the next many seasons. Like, the only players that are under contract for that long are Crosby and whoever we draft, this year, right? And then maybe we extend 1 or 2 guys. Like, I guess Colt Miller just got the extension last year, but that was 3 years. Anyways, there's not many players on the books for 3 to 4 years from now. It's just, if that's when the window starts to show up with the new quarterback, you fix the offensive line, Janty gets rolling, and you get some young players on defense, and the coach is hopefully really good and he develops them. 2 years from now, 2027, most likely 2028, is when the Raiders should hit that window of the quarterback is hitting, the offense is rolling, the defense is playing good enough, whatever. They are very much in a playoff mode.
Look at the Patriots right now.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. A lot of teams just flipped it in one offseason. I doubt that for the Raiders. But it's not out of the question if you get the right coaching in there. But the point is, I guess my point...
I'd argue it wasn't in one offseason. Drake May was drafted last year.
Yeah, but for the coaching staff, to come in and just boom, it starts working. That's how important a coach is. Yes, the front office was working on this for a year at least to get to this point, and to the next topic's point that I'm going to make. That's why I love us keeping Spy Tech, but we'll get there. Mm-hmm. My point here with Max Crosby is, if you trade him and we're paying a fuckload of dead money for him as part of that trade to get first round picks, well, at some point that is going to hinder us in maximizing our roster via cap space. That's where I get worried. To where I'm like, well, I'd rather be paying for the guy that can get me 12 sacks and lead the league in tackles for loss and be a significant game changer on defense. Whereas on the offensive line, we can keep developing guys like Charles Grant and Caleb
Rogers.
why do I always forget? Yep, thank you. Wow. Thank you for that. Because I forgot it. Keep developing guys like that. Give them a year or two. Hopefully next year, at least one of them can start. And, hopefully they get better. Hopefully, like in theory, it's like Colton Miller, Caleb Rogers. To me, it has to be Jackson Powers Johnson at center. And I'd like to see the right offensive line coach come in, and it just fucking works. Well, is that a guarantee? Fuck no. That's a big if. But I see the talent where I'm like, Jackson Powers Johnson should be good. It doesn't make sense to me that he's not, right? It feels to me like he's been switching positions, playing out of position, and never gets this consistent, just consistency from his coaching. To me, it's like just fill in the right side of the line, and you're relatively good. Like, and if you do get a new starting right tackle, well, then you have DJ Glaze sliding down as depth. He's got starting experience. Like, that's a good thing. He's not the best starter, but should a guy go down, because he played guard in college, like, he could be the right guard. That's something I've been saying. I just feel like you can sign multiple bodies this offseason, like, fork out the fucking money. Like, it's been insane. Like, the past two off seasons, the top offensive guards have gotten paid just erroneous amounts of money. Just atrocious. Do it. To me, fucking do it. Give them a 4-year, 20 million per year deal. I do not give a fuck.
And just ensure that you have a good lineman.
Yes. And then you're not so stricken towards, okay, well then in the second round we have to take an offensive tackle. No, take the best player available, because we need best player available. That's what we need on this roster, is the best corner, the best wide receiver, the best linebacker, whatever it is, defensive tackle, defensive end. Give me that guy.
Mm-hmm.
We can't be stricken towards, well, we have to go offensive line. Part of that reason is I think offensive linemen take a while to develop and grow into the bodies that they need to be able to start in the NFL. That's why I think, Rodgers and Grant didn't play much of this season. You give him that first offseason, like that was Colton Miller's big story was, man, he struggled his rookie year, being thrown in there at left tackle. Well, then he grew into his body in one offseason, getting full NFL training, and he looked much more, as a pro, much better.
Yeah.
In that second year and on. So anyways.
Real quick, are you able, okay, so do you see the comments right now? And you see where Joel says, all right, Joel, I apologize, but I'm going to point this out because I find it, I'm finding some humor in it. Do you see where it says message retracted?
Yeah.
On the live chat, we can still see it. And then I'm just thinking about the fat pause. That's, why he retracted the message and resent it. He said, "Nah, get Tyree off."
Yeah.
Pause. No, I bet you he did mean to finish the sentence and was like, "Oh, I accidentally click send," but nah, get Tyree off. Like just me thinking, "Hey, wait a second, that didn't sound right." Nah, get Tyree off my team.
I don't know. I saw a lot of good things from Tyree Wilson on Sunday. That was one of my main points. Also, Tonka Hemingway. That was the other point I was going to make. Rookie defensive tackle. He kind of maybe lucked his way into the quarterback running into him for a couple sacks, but still, he's applying pressure. He's getting good snaps in. Those were the two, I think, fourth round picks, or at least one fourth, one fifth was JJ McGeese and Tonka Hemingway this year. Like, you win in the trenches. I think it takes a while for players in the trenches to develop properly. Like, give these guys, Rodgers, Grant, Hemingway, Pegues, give them an offseason with NFL training, at the facility. Let's see how they look next year. I wouldn't say high hopes, but I have hopes. I hope that they are great someday. Because that would be huge for the development of this team. And then also Jack Besh, who got 2 targets, no catches in this game. Like, I need to see more from him, but it's pretty clear that they need a number 1 receiver at some point for this quarterback that we draft first overall. That's it for the Raiders and Chiefs game for me.
Yeah, Sam's tuning in. He says, "Are you nervous for the Eagles game?" Well, we already went over this topic. So if you want like the full answer, feel free to rewind. But since you're tuning in live, I'm just gonna answer it quick. I'm not nervous because I feel like that Seahawks game really squandered the like one hope that I had of this team making a run at the Super Bowl. So like, to me, if we lose, all right, the Niners probably at this point now, their chances at winning the Super Bowl are low because they just don't have a Super Bowl caliber defense. I don't like the matchup, so I don't have high hopes for them this upcoming week. So I'm not going to be holding my breath. I would be happy if they won, but at this point, because they have to travel, I feel like until I see them playing at Levi's again, I feel like it's just delaying the inevitable because they might potentially have to travel to. All right.
Oh,
if they beat Philadelphia, they move on to the divisional round. I don't know who they would play from then on, but they might have to travel to. Not the Seahawks, right, Mike? Possibly Seattle. Maybe in the championship game. I don't know if they make it that far.
If you guys won, you would most likely take on Seahawks next week, and then Rams, I'd assume, as the 5 seed, would take on the Bears.
Yeah, or the Packers.
I'm across my room because I'm getting my charger for my laptop, but you might, if you guys win this game, your playoffs might be completely divisional game, and that is always a shot.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, man. Either win the fucking Super Bowl or die in the most painless way possible at this point. Because I can't take another. Oh, we have the lead, 10-point lead, and then we just blew it. Or I just can't take another like, oh, we would have won if it weren't for this one play, or Kyle Williams, or this or that or the other. I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. Like, can I just have like, all right, Smiling Friends, when Alan's like, I just wanted my cheese, but it's like, I just want my Super Bowl. It's probably the cringiest moment on this pod. So I apologize to everybody viewing and everybody's families, because I know you guys have families to go back to at home, and probably ruined your day. Sam says, yeah, I get that. I'm the same way, bro. Well, guys, I'm off to play Civ Revolution. Honestly, the weekly Civ Revolution name drop is always welcome. Mike, what is going on over there?
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent.
Are you on your phone?
My laptop died. No. My laptop, I just plugged it in and it came back on, so.
Cool.
That's first.
Yeah, if not, just tune in on your phone so we can finish out the episode. But, yeah, I don't think it's the best matchup for the Niners. Let's go ahead and talk about some very, very, very important news for the Raiders. They have um, they have given Pete Carroll a permanent vacation. They put him in a home. No, just kidding. A retirement home. They might have fired him into retirement. Mike, tell us about it.
Yes. Well, the decision that we were kind of all expecting, but granted, I wasn't 100% positive, I guess convinced, that it was a for sure thing. But they made the right decision. They're going to look for a new head coach. This is the statement that Mark Davis put out that I find to be important. The Las Vegas Raiders have relieved Pete Carroll of his duties as head coach. We appreciate and wish him and his family all the best. Moving forward, General Manager John Spytek will lead all football operations in close collaboration with Tom Brady, including the search for the club's next head coach. Together, they will guide football decisions with a shared focus on leadership, culture, and alignment with the organization's long-term vision and goals. Mark Davis. Mark Davis has put out many statements in the past. This is the best one I've ever read. And I mean, like, I'm overhyping it a little bit, but like, this is what I've wanted. I don't want the head coach to be the head honcho. And maybe that's in part because I know what this team needs, and that's to fucking rebuild. And you can't have a head coach coming in who all he wants to do is win games. Like, of course, at the end of the day, that's what we all want to do. And you see Liam Cohen on the Jags. You see Ben Johnson on the Bears. You see Mike Vrabel on the Patriots. And maybe a couple other guys. And you go, well, it can happen. Like, the Jaguars had, if not a worse, the same record as us last year. They had the 5th overall pick. We had the 6th pick. Now, they are, in my opinion, one of the favorites to go to the Super Bowl. Just, boom, the right coach. Suddenly, Trevor Lawrence's career is completely rejuvenated.
Hold up 1 second.
Yes.
It just occurred to me. If the Ravens go, if they run it back with Lamar next year, then they chose Lamar Jackson over John Harbaugh, which I find insane. And the reason why I'm thinking about John Harbaugh is because I feel like he's my top choice right now to fill the vacancy.
For the Raiders, specifically?
Yeah, for the Raiders. And I feel
John
like
Harbaugh,
the Raiders are very... I feel like they're an enticing destination finally because of the cap space and the draft pick.
Yep.
If you want to coach Fernando Mendoza, you have the opportunity to now.
Yeah.
And if you work out, you are going to be one of the most beloved coaches in Raider history.
Yeah, there's not many recently, John Gruden is like our most beloved coach, and then our most successful was Jack Del Rio. And he's kind of just forgotten. Like there's nobody else. Yeah, I mean, you take us to the playoffs, we will bow.
Like there's still Raider fans that are like, yeah, man, we should have just kept Bazakia.
Yeah. It would have ended out the same as Antonio Pierce, honestly.
The meme, the Wolverine meme.
Yeah, looking at the photo. That's a lot of people like Derek Carr, too.
Bro, I'll never forget the tweet that I saw that was like, all right, it was quote tweeting a Raider fan, like saying, man, fuck it, I low-key miss Jimmy G at this point. And it was like, Geno Smith, you are making Raider fans nostalgic for Jimmy Garoppolo. You are going to hell.
Yeah. No, seriously, he was that bad, dude. So John Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh,
Well,
Super Bowl winning coach.
yeah. Let me get back
Well,
to John Harbaugh.
hold on. Pete Carroll was a Super Bowl winning coach too.
That's kind of that's kind of part of my thing with him or with Harbaugh. Again, let me get back to that. Um,
Two
First,
brothers in the same division. Sorry, I keep cutting you off, man.
oh, yeah. I mean, you are, but you're good. Um, Baby, it's my time to shine.
Yeah.
Um, no. Yeah, trust me,
So
I
what
thought of
I
it though. The two brothers, yeah, the two brothers in the same division is insane, and I wonder if that would be a sell or like a nope, no thanks for them.
probably no
They
thanks.
seem like competitors to where they would actually love that. You know, uh, but I don't know, man. When like I feel like you'd also have to consider like, well, like if you're John Harbaugh, like, well, if I do get this Raiders team turned around, big if, that would sure be rough to like knock my brother out of the playoffs and cause him to get fired or some shit. You know, week 18. Like that'd be rough.
Cannot hear you right now.
Anyways,
Oh, there we go. There we go. I
okay,
got you again.
okay. Um, First off, Pete Carroll. Just because that's the topic, really, is that the Raiders have fired Pete Carroll. It's the right decision, specifically because of where the team is relative to where I think he envisioned the team and he, as a coach, intends to be. Pete Carroll intends to compete. He intends to be in every game. He intends to be in the playoffs, so on and so forth. And clearly, after this season, the Raiders are not on that page.
Pete Carroll was still fucking teaching, huh? Sorry, I'm cursing a lot this episode.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, he was still teaching like a 1 day a week class or something like that at USC. I'm assuming virtually. There's no way he could travel to LA on like a fucking Monday or some shit or Tuesday
Yeah.
and do that. There's no way. Um, but yes, he was teaching still. Um, I don't know. So my thing, I think a lot of Raider fans would come away from this season and like it's easy to hate Pete Carroll because he was one of the faces of the team. Like it's very easy to hate Geno. It is very easy to hate him. But I don't dislike Pete Carroll when it's all said and done. Um, I still like his philosophy. I still like him as a coach. I think at the end of the day, it probably, at least to some capacity, was really good for this franchise to have him be a part of it for a year. I fully believe that. From a a culture setting standpoint, you know, um, he was probably good to have in there relative to a coach that you just completely like. If he were just an unknown coach, or mm, like I don't know, you could kind of feel Antonio Pierce losing the roster. Um, there are
The
those
locker
coaches where you
room.
can just, yeah, the locker room. You could feel it when the coach loses the locker room sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I really don't think Pete Carroll lost the locker room. Um, and I think that's in part because of his vibe and stuff. But there is also, I remember with the Seahawks, there is the sentiment that like he's a little bit like, you know, always preaching like the same thing. So I could see how maybe that gets old for some players.
Like the same
Um,
message gets stale over
yes,
time if you're not winning.
especially if you're not winning. So yeah, I think for like an not an interim coach, but for like a 1 year rental sort of coach, which for Mark Davis it wasn't. He's still going to be paying him for like the next 2 years. He keeps doing this. at some point, Mark Davis has to realize, like, I literally can't afford to keep doing this. um, but I think for a 1 year, one and done coach, like Pete Carroll's one of the better, coaches you could do that with, I think. And he ultimately did what this franchise really needed, you know. Um, in hindsight, I wish that they didn't trade that third round pick for Geno. I wish that was another offensive lineman being developed right now. And developed is a very loose word because Pete Carroll's son was the offensive line coach. I will not forget that part. That is something I will not miss at all. Let's hire a couple of my sons to help coach on the offense. And let's bring Geno in, who I have undying faith towards, and so forth, right? Like, I need a coach to come in here and lead the locker room like you're supposed to. Not that Pete Carroll doesn't know how to, but hire people not because they are literally by blood related to you, but because they are the best possible staff that you can bring in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the next coach needs to do. And all that being said, I do have a sense of appreciation for Pete Carroll, but this was the necessary move. On top of that, going off of this statement from Mark Davis, keeping John Spytek, that was the necessary move. And that was something I said last year when they had Telesco. And initially, they let go of Antonio Pierce, but for like a day or two, they still had Tom Telesco. And it was like, I was saying, good move. He drafted pretty damn good, in my opinion, at the time. Brock Bowers, obviously, but Jackson Powers-Johnson, DJ Glaze was a starting right tackle, so forth. I was like, good, we have a guy who has a pulse in the roster, yada, yada, yada. He can keep building on that, and hopefully, as I was saying for the past many years, get us towards getting that franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm assuming
This is different because Mark Davis is very clear that Spytek and Brady are, they are leading,
all football operations.
Yeah.
That is the key. Because from what I have been able to tell, when Mark Davis took over, I can make this a long thing. I'm going to try not to. At first, it was Reggie McKenzie. He went GM first. Reggie McKenzie comes in and he brings in a young, defensive-minded coach named Dennis Allen. Youngest coach in the league. Clearly, Reggie McKenzie, the GM, was in charge of football operations. Clearly. His job was to gut that shit and fix the cap space problems dating back to Jamarcus Russell, Michael Huff, Cam Wembley, etc. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I'll tell you after the pod. About Dennis Allen.
Okay. Dennis Allen clearly does not work because I really do think Mark Davis came in and realized, like, this is going to take a while. Let's get a young coach with no expectations. Let's just fix the team. Let's focus on that first. And Reggie McKenzie did that, but Dennis Allen was not ready to be a head coach. So then you get to, if I'm not mistaken, Jack Del Rio. Unless there's somebody in between that I'm totally forgetting, but I'm pretty sure it was Jack Del Rio. Because Dennis Allen was 2014. No. I think he was 2013.
He was 20
because
he was 2012 and 2013, right?
Yes, because Al Davis died in 2011. And Jack Del Rio had to have come in 2014 because I think he had 2 seasons before 2016. I think.
No.
Anyways. No? 1 season? Who cares, right? Something like that. Somewhere in there.
Let me look.
But I'm fairly positive it's Dennis Allen, Jack Del Rio, John Gruden.
I think Jack Del Rio did good his first year.
He did great. His problem was letting go of Bill Musgrave because for some reason he thought the offense could get much better. And in hindsight, that was sort of a, if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of scenario.
I will
but
tell
ultimately, you. Ultimately, Mark Davis got his guy in John Gruden. Possibly because that entire time from Dennis Allen through John Gruden at the beginning, Reggie McKenzie was there as the GM. He was the man that stayed through it all. But then, Mark Davis gets his guy, big money, all that. And, of course, John Gruden now is going to be in charge of everything. He is the man running the show. The next offseason, Reggie McKenzie's out. Go ahead.
Lane Kiffin was a head coach for the Raiders in 2007 and 2008. It's crazy.
Yeah. That was the famous Al Davis projector. He used a fucking projector like we used to use in elementary school to explain why he fired him at a press conference.
Art Shell was the head coach twice.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Just
Mike
like
Shanahan was the head coach of the Raiders.
Yeah.
Damn, what a run. You go from John Madden, who was 103 and 32 and 7.
I think at the time he had the greatest win percentage.
Winning percentage.
If not still. Yeah.
Tom Flores, right after him.
Super Bowls too.
83 and 53. And then Mike Shanahan, who was not a good Raider head coach, but was a successful NFL head coach and probably should be in the Hall of Fame if he's not.
Yeah. So from what I understand on Mike Shanahan, Al Davis and him butted heads like crazy because Mike Shanahan had his, ideas and, philosophies, and Al Davis, being the owner and GM, was trying to tell him what to do, and, that quickly turned sour. And I wonder how much that affects Mark Davis, but I know as long as Al Davis was alive, it was like no Shanahan for me.
Yeah. So the modern day, I just named those 3 Raider head coaches. So I'm just going to pick these 3. It went Dennis Allen from 2012 to 2014. He was fired in the middle of 2014, and
in London.
He was replaced by
Tony Sperano.
Yep, Tony Sperano, who went 3-9, and then he, was replaced by Jack Del Rio, who was the head coach from 2015 to 2017. And I think what was interesting to me about Jack Del Rio, I remember when he first came in, and C.O. Moore had that big game in 2015 where, well, not big game, but he was taunting Kaepernick, and that was like a big deal because it was Raiders versus Niners in the Coliseum, and, Raider fans were loving it because the Niners were the better team, like record-wise. They weren't the better team that day, and then the Raiders, they kind of like kicked the crap out of the Niners that day. Like, I remember that being a big thing, and so the fan base started to love C.O. Moore, after that, and then
I think I liked him before that, but continue.
Okay, but you're diehard, especially at that time. Well. Yeah, for sure. You were considering your age too.
Yeah.
Then the following offseason, something happens with C.O. Moore, and Jack Del Rio gets rid of his ass. Or something happens. He's like, yeah, C.O. Moore wasn't going to make this football team anyway. And I was like, damn, that's a statement. Like, that's a leader. Like, I was bought in that year on Jack Del Rio, and then he didn't have a great 2017. But as it currently stands, besides Rich Bisaccia in his interim season, Jack Del Rio is the only head coach since the last head coach to have a winning record. All right, question. Do you want to count Gruden before, or do you want to take it collectively?
What the fuck?
Okay, let's see. Gruden was 38 and 26 before. And then he was 22-31. So I think it's almost 500. I think that I'm sorry. I had work earlier. So if somebody at home can do the math there, my math isn't mathing right now. My brain isn't braining. So hold on. I'll just do it real quick because I want to get this right. 38 plus what was it? 22. 22. Okay. 60.
Terribly sorry.
No, you're fine. 31 plus 26. Okay. So, regardless, the first head coach since 2001, or the only head coach since 2001, unless you count Bazakia, to have a winning record during their tenure with the Raiders. And they got rid of him
it's
to
not
bring
good.
back the other guy who was the winning coach. I like John Gruden. I didn't feel like it was the right time to get rid of Del Rio. And I'm going to hold on to that, but it doesn't matter. We're here now. Who are the Raiders going to pick? You have to decide today. Mike, who are you hiring?
Well, I guess the key here, and sliding a little bit more towards that John Harbaugh conversation, is that whoever they do hire needs to be somebody who is here to coach and not here to make any personnel decisions.
Mm.
Because that's what John Gruden was there for. Obviously, he was there to coach, but he was also there with the intent to be the guy in charge. And I think when Josh McDaniels came in, you're the guy in charge. And then this past year, Pete Carroll, I think Pete Carroll was very much in charge, or at the very least had a big pull on personnel. And I think moving forward with this statement saying John Spytek will lead all football operations and in close collaboration with owner Tom Brady, that to me is a sign in the right direction, because that's what I've been saying that they need is the general manager to lead all personnel decisions. And rightfully, when he does hire the coach and they go through the process and they realize, like, yes, this is the guy, this is exactly what we're looking for, give the coach the reins. And he said it at his press conference after Pete Carroll was fired. The coach will, hire his staff. That's very much the head coach's job. Cool. Just don't hire your son as the offensive line coach, right? I also think it's interesting that Mark Davis specifically noted that they will guide football decisions with a shared focus on leadership culture and alignment with the organization's long-term vision and goals. Long-term is the key term in that statement to me, other than lead all football operations. That sounds to me like a team that understands, like, this isn't going to happen in 1 year. And it sounds a little bit maybe to me like Mark Davis intends to be a bit more patient with this next regime, if you will, specifically Spytek and whoever this coach is. And that would be my next point is whoever this coach is, I think they should have the understanding, again, it's not going to all happen in 1 year. This isn't going to be another Pete Carroll where it's like, oh, that didn't work out. We went 4 and fucking 13. Well, got to fire him. No. If they win 4 games next year, that coach will very much still be on the head coach.
Because Mark Davis can't afford another one. No, I'm just kidding.
That might honestly be a little part of it, but also you have to build the team the right way, and you need to develop a system. Like I said last year, and especially last year, but even the year before, continuity. They need that continuity, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I think, as crazy as it might sound, after explaining all of those coaching hires and the process that they've gone to ever since Dennis Allen, I think they should hire a guy. This might sound crazy, like Dennis Allen. Not actually Dennis Allen today, but like Dennis Allen in 2012, who was the youngest coach in the league, and you give him 2 to 3 years to see how he develops as a coach as well as how he handles the roster. But more specifically, give me an offensive-minded guy. Give me a guy with the play sheet calling the plays. That's where, if you get a Clint Kubiak, he's already good at that. Like, if you can get one of those guys, not that they're going to be this guy in a heartbeat, but like a Kyle Shanahan, where it's like maybe they're not the best in the locker room, right? Like, I think you would probably agree that like Kyle Shanahan doesn't seem like the best at like, maybe motivating his locker room or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not like the ultimate like guy's guy, but fuck me, he's a great play caller.
Like, I think this year, all right, so one thing that Kyle has going for him, which I think that I've realized a little bit more, I think that he's pretty realistic to his team, which I think goes a long way because I never once felt like he lost the locker room, and that's pretty impressive in like 9 years, considering there's some really high highs and some really low lows, right? Like last year, you would think, man, is Kyle coaching for his fucking job this year? Right? And then he bounced back in a big way, I think, this year. Like, it's not over yet. Like, for all we know, he could be hoisting the Lombardi finally in, 4 weeks from now. Or 5 weeks from now, however many weeks it is at this point. But, all right, we talked about, like, Pete Carroll and, even a guy like Jim Harbaugh. Or maybe a guy like John Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I'm talking about both. Jim Harbaugh lost the locker room with the 49ers. As much as I love Jim Harbaugh, he lost the locker room in his last year because something. I guess the players could sense that something was going on, but like people just weren't buying into the whole, who's got it better than us? Nobody, like, anymore. Like it just, they weren't winning. Something was going on. Whereas I don't feel like Jim Harbaugh is ever the coach to, concede on a season. Whereas going into this year, I feel like Shanahan was like, he kind of had his expectations low that this team was going to, not, I guess, perform the best. And I think he even said it like last year that, we're just not as good of a football team as we were in 2023, which I think that if you keep telling the players, yeah, we're the best, blah, 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 and like keep trying to motivate them and you're losing, nobody wants to hear that shit, So I get that. As a fan, like, do I get more pumped up with the motivational guy? Yeah, but like, if I know, like, I guess it has to do with the trust in the coach. I would trust maybe the coach that is a little bit more down to earth and realistic because it's like, oh, when we're actually good, I'll have faith that he'll let us know that we're actually good. So I don't give Kyle enough credit in that regard. There's still like, he's just different. And I will regretfully say this because next thing you know, Shanahan's going to do something that pisses me off again. And then I'll be like, I'll be missing Jim Harbaugh again. But in my eyes, after the performance this season, I'm willing to move Kyle Shanahan on my personal ranking above Jim Harbaugh, you know, for my 49ers pantheon of like favorite coaches during my lifetime. Because it's like, God damn it, like this is another team that was pretty good, and he exceeded expectations. And that's where I feel like I that's what I was clinging on to with Jim Harbaugh for the longest time, is that he took a really bad team and made them good. Whereas I feel like Shanahan kind of did it in 2019. But like this team was there's no way this team should have won 12 games, but they did. I
with their health issues.
I
Yes.
actively picked against them.
Mm.
You know, I was wrong about so many games. You know, I literally have it right here under the predictions spreadsheet. I can count it right here. How many games that I picked against them and they won? I picked against them with the Seahawks. I was wrong. Cardinals, Rams, Falcons, Rams again. Did we swept the Rams?
If you won the second game, yes.
Hold on.
That might explain why the tiebreaker was specifically
No, we didn't.
relating to the Seahawks. No, you
No.
lost the second game?
Yeah, we lost the second game. So my thing is not right here. So I guessed
Well,
9 right instead. But
right. To your point, you picked a lot against the Niners, trusting Shanahan, and so forth.
yeah. So, you know, go on with the Raiders of who should be the coach, Mike.
Well, I think maybe next week when we have more like interviews lined up and whatnot, I'll have a better answer to this question. But I do have some options initially. Um, to get back to the John Harbaugh, because that was kind of the breaking news today, was that the Ravens are parting ways with him. Essentially, they're firing him. Um, he immediately becomes the clear-cut number one coach on the market. Like, there is no Ben Johnson where it's like years in the making. This dude is fucking just obvious. You have to have this dude. He's just killing it in the offensive, play calling. Um, the closest guy to that would be Clint Kubiak, and that's why, for me, Clint Kubiak is still number one, because it's clear and obvious we're getting a quarterback. Like, why waste time? You want continuity? Get the quarterback his coach that he will have for as long as possible, so long as they succeed. That's what makes the most sense to me. But there are other avenues. Uh, John Harbaugh is a special teams minded guy. Special teams background. The positive with that is that in knowing special teams, you have a closer relationship to every single player on the roster than say the offensive coordinator would. Because the offensive coordinator does not have a relationship with defensive players. Not like that. But in theory, all the depth players, they know the special teams coordinator better than anybody, better than either coach, because they're not getting many snaps on offense or defense, they're getting snaps at special teams, right? So that's the positive there, is he would have a stranglehold on the roster, for sure. And the other main positive to me with John Harbaugh, other than his scope of work, is his history, is he probably, of all coaching candidates, he would cast the widest net for supporting coaching hires.
I would be
Assistants.
worried. In that same boat, I would be worried. And here's why. I would be worried that the Chargers scapegoat Greg Roman, and John Harbaugh decides to bring him back on his coaching staff.
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't even think of that, but I think I've already kind of made my mind up on like my top two choices for head coach. That hearing that John Harbaugh was available, to me, the best I could put him at is the third best option for the Raiders. And in large part, it's because to me, John Harbaugh feels like a carbon copy, subtract like 10 to 15 years of Pete Carroll. He feels like the exact same thing.
Can I guess?
You bring it, huh?
Can I guess your
Oh, you
top
want to?
two?
Yeah, I mean, one of them's obvious. I already said Clint Kubiak. He's my number one,
Okay. Your number two, because
and it's not.
you have mentioned this guy before in coaching
Yes,
hiring cycles.
yes, I have.
Brian Flores, and bringing in Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator. But
Correct, and
Brian
that's
Flores.
not. Yes, and that's not because of the recent reporting and rumors that that is a very strong initial indication that that's what Brady might want to do. Because of connections to literally both of them through the Patriots. Um, but I think Brian Flores is doing things defensively, scheme wise, that not many coordinators are doing. Um,
He's the Vikings coordinator, right?
yeah. There's a little bit of history in sort of a negative way, oddly, with Max Crosby and Brian Flores, where Max Crosby has said out loud, like, I did not want to go to the Dolphins because of Brian Flores.
Well,
But I think part of that was
you won't have to
the
worry about playing for Brian Flores either way.
maybe, yeah. I mean, honest to God, if we hire Brian Flores, which I'm totally here for, um, I think that would be the best case scenario if the plan is to trade Max Crosby. Because Brian Flores is the best defensive coordinator in getting pressure. So you trade Max Crosby, you get picks, you add youth to the team, and he will find a way to still get pressure because he blitzes at like astronomical rates. Um, well schemed blitzing, of course. And then yes, Brian Dable to pair with him. You get a guy who can teach up a quarterback and call plays at a pretty successful rate. Um, and maybe Brian Dable is just a better coordinator than he is head coach. He might be one of those guys to where you put him at coordinator and he's just better. Um, but my worry would be if he is successful by year three, that Brian Dable gets hired as a head coach for the fucking Browns or wherever, the Titans, and then we have to start over with our offensive staff with this quarterback in year three. You know, and ultimately that's just why I lean Clint Kubiak. There's not many other offensive coordinators out there. Um, you've got Matt Nagy, who I don't want. You've got Joe Brady from the Bills, who was a hot name a year ago, but I don't know. They haven't like overly impressed me, and he doesn't come off to me like this clear cut head coach material, you know? Whereas Clint Kubiak, I can just see fitting that Shanahan, mold of, you know, just has the play sheet and he tells the team what we got to do, and it's pretty blunt and not all that impressive, but he gets the shit done, and he does a hell of a job with the quarterback. You
Would
know,
you? All right, so I know coaches don't make a lot of lateral moves very often.
mm.
Would you encourage the idea of potentially Robert Sala with bringing Clay Kubiak, the offensive coordinator right now with the 49ers, and maybe he might, you know, take a bigger role because he could finally play call?
Right? I wouldn't be all that opposed. Um, Currently, I would much rather have Brian Flores than Robert Saleh. Um, and the only reason I say that, I mean, the Jets are the Jets. I very much do see Robert Saleh getting another shot soon, and I can absolutely see him succeeding. Like, if Robert Saleh could go to the New York Giants, hilariously enough, he'd probably fucking eat it up with the defensive studs that they have, in the pass rush. And already having a quarterback. Like, the Jets didn't have that when he was there. Like, he really could be set up for a good shot with the Giants in the same city that he was just in, right?
And then when he gets fired,
Um,
he can come back.
yeah. Uh, yeah.
It really sucked,
But
man. The Texans turning it around sucked because it's like, oh, if Sala gets hired somewhere, then D'Amico Ryan's maybe will come back, but um,
yeah.
I don't think Sala's getting hired this year, so maybe a blessing in disguise. But
Mm.
ooh,
So,
that's rough. I just saw
yeah.
49er Media's comment. Real
Oh
quick, the
yeah.
next head coach of the Raiders is actually going to be Frank Weber. So, Frank,
I said,
congratulations on your promotion or demotion, depending on your current employment status or retirement status. The Raiders do not discriminate. They are willing to hire old coaches. Um, uh, at RAST4NR, do you want Geno back? Mike, do you think that maybe the Raiders run it back with Geno? You think there's any chance maybe they just trade out of the pick?
honestly, mid-season, even three-quarters of the way through the season, I was saying you might as well keep him just to not deal with the dead cap space. You have another body in the building. You draft a quarterback, and then Geno's the backup by like week 4. But now that we're at the end of the season, and apparently he's deleted all Raiders material off his Instagram and shit, I just don't fucking want him in the building. I think maybe without being a cancer, he's as close to being a cancer as there is. Like, I also think, like I said, I don't think Pete Carroll necessarily lost the locker room. I have got to imagine Geno Smith lost the locker room. Like, there's no way in hell that every single receiver, every single offensive lineman genuinely likes Geno Smith. There's no fucking way. There's got to be at least 2 guys in that locker room that are like, this dude fucking blows, and I don't like him. That's just the sense that I get when I see Geno. And bear in mind, he's just plain and simply miserable, right? Like, he looks miserable. He should look miserable. He was terrible. The offensive line did not help, right? Worst in the league on pressure given up, all that. It's terrible. But
Mm-hmm.
the way that he, you know, presented himself in the adversity, to me, is a guy that shouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't seem like a positive, model for this team.
Real quick, we're gonna take these two comments. The comment by Anthony, I think, perfectly can help us finish this topic. Um, but 49er Media says Geno is a bum, had one good year in his career. LMAO. Yeah, but he didn't write back. Anthony C, who's probably tuning in from his shift, says, can you explain how the Raiders have sucked for so long and didn't accumulate any talent? That's how Harbaugh was successful with the Niners, and the team was stacked, and then was stacked when he came on board. Yeah, that actually might bridge well with the next topic, but I'll let Mike answer this.
I'm forgetting what our next topic is. Damn it.
The number one overall pick, what we've all been waiting for 20
Oh,
years.
yeah.
No, actually,
Um,
since almost 20 years. Holy crap! What was that?
yeah, almost
2008?
7, I
2000?
think. Oh, maybe it was 8. Maybe it was 8. It's one of those two. Um, how the Raiders have sucked for so long, didn't accumulate any talent.
winning games,
So
meaningless games.
yeah, winning meaningless games, negating themselves from getting a higher pick. Um, some blown early picks, notably like Cleveland Farrell. Like really, it just to me, it's who was in charge of the personnel, and also what predicaments were these guys in. So like dating back to 2002, the last time they won a playoff game, they go to the Super Bowl and they unfortunately lose to John Gruden and the Bucks. From that point on, what was the problem? Al Davis just, for the most part, just lost his way. I'm not going to fully disrespect him, but there's a C word that you can use at some point. Um, it rhymes with penile.
Hmm.
Um, I just think there comes a point, and the Dallas Cowboys are going through that right now.
Mm.
No offense. Where the owner is
Shots
also the
fired.
GM.
Schottenheimer.
Yeah, just the owner is the guy that's in charge of personnel, and you know it's his money, and he wants it now. Like he's gonna do what he wants with the team.
Yeah.
Um, terrible hires, terrible coaching hire. I mean everything. Like it's not just how did they not accumulate talent. It's also how did they not coach up talent. It's because they had bad coaches. And if they didn't have bad coaches, it's because they had bad picks. If they didn't have bad picks, it's because they didn't have any picks. At times, trading for Devontae Adams or trading for Carson Palmer. That was a Hugh Jackson move immediately after Al Davis died because they were like 5-6, and it's like we have a shot at the playoffs. Let's trade a first and a second for Carson Palmer, who was not playing at all. He was going to ride possibly to retirement because the Bengals were playing hardball with him. And then Jason Campbell went down, and Hugh Jackson said, well, it's just me here. I'm going to do what I can to win now and show that I deserve to stay to Mark Davis.
And they fired
it's
him.
stuff like that. Huh?
And they fired him.
Yeah, well,
He didn't have a losing record. You went 8-8.
No, I didn't mind him. I remember that. I remember that time vividly, dude. Like I liked Hugh Jackson.
That was around the time that you became like a huge fan, right?
Yeah, I became a massive fan. Technically 2009. I started really getting a grip on the team 2010. Because I went to a game 2009. Zach Miller scored 86-yard touchdown, and it was from that point on. Like Darren McFadden, fucking Richard Seymour, Cameron Wembley, Michael Huff, Jason Campbell. That was my guy. Oh my god! At first, Jacoby Ford, Denarius Moore, like those guys. Michael Bush. That was
Clyde Wolford.
That was my intro to the team. It was fucking Zach Miller.
Marcel Reese.
Marcel Reese, yes.
You met him.
I did meet him out in just rock and jump at a fucking play place, dude.
I'll never forget the photoshops. Mike actually
but anyways,
did meet him, though. But yeah, not going to talk.
But to answer Anthony's question, my answer is the wrong people being in charge of personnel. That's what I've been saying about John Gruden, about head coaches like Pete Carroll getting personnel decision making, when that's not their expertise. Their expertise is coaching. And then you also have Reggie McKenzie, who was specifically tasked with, no offense to Al Davis, fixing Al Davis's fuck-ups for 20 years and counting, going into Reggie McKenzie's time as the general manager. In that their pocketbook was so fucked that Reggie McKenzie just had to tank for 2 seasons and just literally cut his losses. Michael Huff, Cameron Wembley, probably Mike Mitchell, probably Tyvon Branch. Like anybody that had a big contract just had to get rid of them. Just eat up the money, and in 2 years we'll have cap space to finally spend. And then what also came at that time was picks like Khalil Mack, Derek Carr, Gabe Jackson, some good picks. And then you get Jack Del Rio, and you have some success. And then Mark Davis goes, Yeah, but I could get John Gruden to win me a Super Bowl. Well, then John Gruden comes in after 2017, which was a letdown season, like 8-9 or whatever. It was my least favorite season of all time. Like 2016 was the ultimate high. This is it. This is what I'm trying to go towards right now. Is you get the quarterback, you start winning. Like I'm hoping for that in 2 years. I'm hoping for another 2016 in 2 years. It's like out of nowhere, Jacksonville Jaguars this year. We're there. And then that next season, when you don't win the Super Bowl, obviously, you make the playoffs, you lose, whatever. That next season is when it's like, now is the time to make this a consistent thing. And in 2017, they shat their pants. That's when John Gruden is brought in. And what does he do? He rebuilds the team. And then you get Cleveland Farrell, Jonathan Abram. Because John Gruden was in charge of personnel. And he's a fucking head coach. That's my opinion, right? Josh McDaniels. Not good. It's either guys who shouldn't be in charge of personnel being in charge of personnel, and that's not shade at Reggie McKenzie. I really like Reggie McKenzie, but he also was not 100%. Nobody ever is. But he had our best picks like in the past 20 years, not named Max Crosby.
Yeah, even the juggernaut, my fantasy football team is not 100%. We're about 50%. 50% of all the championships.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I guess not having a motivator, like John Gruden might be a motivator. I would say he did have a good grasp on the locker room, but it took him literally like 4 full seasons and a half to get his team to finally start winning games. And the moment that they did, he got axed with a fucking 15-year-old email from the Epstein list, And then let's start it all over again. And then it's been coach after coach that just does not know how to fucking coach, or he has bad assistant coaches, no development, so on and so forth, right? The GM shits the bed, the coach shits the bed, then the players shit the bed. It's an ongoing cycle. Losing breeds losing. If you have losers as your coaches, you have losers as your GM, you're going to fucking lose. And maybe that's, a lot of people think that that's starting with Mark Davis. Maybe. Maybe it is.
Okay. Antonio Brown was the season before Gruden was axed, right? Might have been two seasons.
Probably two. I think he was axed 2021. I think 19 was Antonio Brown.
Bro, the Raiders aren't a real team, dude. Think about it. How do you go from the Antonio Brown situation to, all right, what was first, John Gruden's emails or Henry Ruggs?
It was literally back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, but
no,
what was
every
first?
Other. It was
probably Ruggs.
Gruden was like after week 5 against the Bears. I want to say Ruggs was after like week 8 against the Eagles.
Okay, go from that to that, and like literally losing a first round pick, just overnight. Obviously, football is secondary, to the family that was unfortunately killed in that crash, right? But like just focusing on the Raiders' perspective of this, selfishly, that happens, and then you guys bring in Josh McDaniels, who the players seemingly hate, and then Chandler Jones. You go to Chandler Jones, like you just have the Chandler Jones situation, and he's literally naked on a live stream, and he's singing about Bill Belichick, and like going through a mental health episode, crisis, however you want to, label it.
100%.
Or define it. But bro, the Las Vegas like the Raiders, they don't exist, bro. There's no way. There's
The
no
the
way,
Raiders
Mike.
the Raiders are slowly but surely
To Christian
um
Wilkins.
yeah, the Raiders are slowly but surely deteriorating and dementing me towards a mental health crisis. And I just don't know it yet. In fact, I haven't realized it until just now. Um,
Dude, between the
no, but you bring
Raiders
up,
and between fantasy football and
yeah,
like me the past like 7 years especially, I'm surprised you even still like the sport, dude.
hey, the Raiders are turning me into this guy.
Joker. Wow. Hey, I gave you a poster of the Joker. You are the Joker, Mike. We are the
Yeah,
Joker. We have a Batman Joker dynamic to each other.
Joker's Funyuns. Um, talking about like this Batman right here. Freaking,
Oh, yeah.
oh, good lord! Wow, let's show it off.
Wow,
Bam.
that is nice.
Thank you.
Real
Um,
nice. We got to frame this.
yeah, the comic.
No, it's I was doing the rocket raccoon like, "Oh, wow, this is nice. Real nice." I still haven't seen the movie, but I know the meme
Oh yeah,
with
but you
Groot.
do bring up a great point. They've also been terrible in acquiring acquisitions and free agents. Like I said, Corey Littleton, Nick Wikoski, Lamarcus Joyner, Christian Wilkins, Chandler Jones, like big ticket free agents that just don't fucking pan out every time. Our best free agent acquisition probably in the past 20 years. I'm sure there are better ones, but the first guy that comes to mind for me is Justin Tuck, who helped in developing Khalil Mack, I think, and was a great veteran presence. Oh, I know the answer. It's Charles Woodson. Yeah. When they got him back, that was fucking awesome. But literally, like, a 34-year-old defensive back is probably our best free agent acquisition. Like, I think they just need to stop messing
What about
around. And
Marshawn Lynch?
Lynch was a great one. Yeah. Um, I'm sure there are others that are even better. I'm just. Oh, actually, I know the answers. The best free agent acquisitions of the past 20 years, those guys are up there. Two guys, and they are very on brand for what we're talking about today. Kelechi Osemele and Rodney Hudson.
I was gonna say Kalechi. I was thinking of him. I was thinking of him, Gabe Jackson, but Gabe Jackson I think was not a free agency. I didn't know if
He was a
Kalechi
third round
was.
pick.
I didn't know if
Yeah.
Kalechi was, but
Osemele was from the Ravens.
I
Hudson was
told you
from the
what
Chiefs.
I told you what pops into my mind every time I hear Kalechi's name, right?
Is something like Coochie? I don't know.
I'll I'll tell you that one after the pod
Okay.
as well, along with
But
Dennis Allen.
I think that's to counter the question at hand of like why are they stuck for so long and not accumulate talent is like when they actually did, they became good. They drafted great in 2014 with Mac, Carr, Gabe Jackson. Just a quick little foundation setter. Then, like the next offseason, 2015, you get Kelechi Osemele. At some point in between that, I think maybe 2014, you get Rodney Hudson. And all of a sudden, like your offensive line, Donald Penn, Howard at right tackle, like all of a
Oh,
sudden your offensive line is great.
Michael
Michael Crabtree,
Crabtree.
Michael
Michael
Crabtree,
Crabtree.
yep,
We both had like the
yep.
same light
I
bulb.
think Amari, yeah, I think Amari Cooper was drafted 2013, I think.
Yeah, he was drafted
Um,
for sure by the Raiders.
yeah, oh, I know that, but I'm trying to think of what year. Unless it was 15, but I think it was 13. But yeah, you go a little consistent with good pickups, and all of a sudden you get 2016, and you have hope. And then it's just like, do we have the right coach? And I, I think Jack Del Rio was really good, but if you gave, I mean, not to say that this is the guy I want, but if you gave John Harbaugh that Raiders team, they might have survived and, stayed great and gotten better with time and maybe a better GM. I don't know. But instead, Mark Davis freaks out and goes for John Gruden. And within a year, he's rebuilding completely. He's trading Khalil Mack. He's trading Amari Cooper. Michael Crabtree walks. Kelechi Osemele eventually walks away. And they disband.
Bro.
And you go back down toward Mike Mayock was terrible as a GM. Terrible.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the answer.
Didn't he get punched?
Well,
by Antonio Brown
called him a cracker. I don't. Maybe he might have actually put hands on him. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yeah, I forget, but bro, we're still talking about 2016, and I love talking about that 2016 team, but we're still talking about it, and it's been 10 years, dude.
It's now going on 10 years, and that's how bad they've been since then, is that we're still thinking about that team that, the defense wasn't even that good, but the offense was, so.
Yeah. Bebop Jones says, what do you think of Darren Waller?
Darren Waller was a great pickup. That was a good John Gruden pickup. He was a practice squad guy for the Ravens.
Right? He was a waiver claim? Or was he a trade? He might have been a trade.
No, he was plucked from the practice squad.
Which takes a waiver, right?
Maybe. Yeah, it's a claim, so yeah, probably.
Okay. All right. I think we're ready to talk about our final topic.
Well, let me say this. Just to start, because I know you asked me the best coaching candidates. I said John Harbaugh is the third best. I might have lied. For what I'm looking for with an offensive-minded guy, I think and now I forget his name. 2-time Coach of the Year from the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, Kevin Stefanski.
I think Stefanski might be my third option. Just because he's done it with a shitty Browns team,
Done what?
Huh?
Done what?
I actually think that maybe one of the things he's done best was build up an offensive line. But I guess my problem with him is I don't know if he's much of a quarterback guru. He's a play caller, but he's not like Shanahan system type of guy. That's why I lean Clint Kubiak. Mike McCarthy, raw-st4nr, brought up Mike McCarthy. I don't really care for it. He feels like a retread. He feels like the Pete Carroll, John Gruden type of vibe of just he's going to come in and, try to implement this thing, and in 3 years he's just going to fade off after a 7-9 season,
I think the term you're looking for is a has-been.
Yeah, honestly, he might be one of the better guys along with John Harbaugh as far as being able to put together a staff, and that's a major plus. But I think with the outlook of this team, I think this is the key. The outlook of this team on a long-term path, I think you need to go for a younger guy with low expectations, and the entire team has to develop around this coach. The quarterback and the head coach and everybody else, right? This coach is going to come in and he's going to make mistakes at first. We can't be short-minded and be we got to fire him, just like Pete Carroll and Antonio Pierce and Josh McDaniels one year after another. No. We have to have a little longer leash on this next guy. So I think I'll end this topic with this. Clint Kubiak, top of the line for me. He's a good offensive coordinator. He's proven that the last 2 years, and he's young. Brian Flores, number 2. Amazing defensive scheme. Seems like kind of a hard ass. He might do a good job with getting the team motivated and shit, and playing hard for him. Because I remember the Dolphins team that he coached years ago. They were trash. They were terrible. They were like 1-7, and he went on like an 8-game win streak and almost got them in the playoffs, or maybe even did get them in the playoffs. Um, and then the next year, apparently, he was asked to tank, and it all led to a lawsuit. And then ever since then, he's been 1 year like linebackers coach for the Steelers, and he's been a great defensive coordinator since. Um, I don't know. I like the sound of him. I like the idea of that paired with like a Brian Dable. Um,
Dude, somewhere in
and there's
between all that Raider chaos, I
mm,
forgot to mention they lost to Jeff Saturday.
yeah, dude, I know that was terrible. Um, to Anthony's comment, Flores feels like a reach. He'd have to get along with Spytek, Brady, Davis. What assistants would want to work under Flores? Sala would be the most diplomatic from a defensive standpoint. I see your point for sure, but like I'm not sure. Maybe I'm forgetting something that I am forgetting. But I'm not sure why there would be all these coaches that refuse to work under Brian Flores. Um, he's been a head coach before. I mean, maybe he alienated his coaches. I'm not sure. Um, but I think because he has ties to Brady through the Patriots sort of upbringing, I don't see him having an issue with Brady. Spytech might be a better question there of, will they all. I mean, Spytech in his press conference today or yesterday was saying, like, not really any relationship is going to be all sunshine and rainbows and you're going to always agree. Like, ask my wife. Like, there are going to be disagreements about personnel and this and that, but at the end of the day, you have to work together. Like, that's part of the hiring process. So, if they feel like Brian Flores is too hard nosed or whatever about this sort of thing, they need to keep in mind what Mark Davis said in that statement of, Spytek's going to lead football operations. If you think Brian Flores is going to come in and, based off his interviews, he's like, well, this is the way I would do it, and it's going to be my way, blah, 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 then it'd be like, yeah, not for us. We like Kubiak or this offensive guy or even a younger defensive guy more. So next tier of coaching for me would be like John Harbaugh, Kevin Stefanski. I really don't like Mike McCarthy. It just feels like a retread, like has-been type thing. So then the next, Robert Saleh would be sort of in that group. Um, and then after that would just be young defensive-minded coaches. Like, that's all that's left. There's Chris Shula, the LA Rams defensive coordinator. Uh, Jesse
Jesse
Minter,
Minter.
the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. Oh, Vance Joseph for the Denver defensive coordinator. I don't like it. He's already been a head coach. He didn't look good at all. I'd rather see him go to
Holy
somebody like the
shit.
Giants and just not deal with us.
A
Um,
huge mosquito.
oh no. Well, hopefully it's a mosquito eater.
No, that
Um,
was a mosquito.
oh. But that's all the names I can think of off the top of my head right now. There's probably more. An interesting name that just kind of popped out of nowhere was Cliff Kingsbury. He dipped on us for Washington 2 years ago. Now he's out from Washington. He's looking for a new, opportunity. Um, I think a big reason why he didn't go to the Raiders was because of the quarterback situation relative to Washington. I wonder
Fucking
if
got
now
his
suddenly,
ass.
nice. I
Not
wonder if now the
nice.
Raiders having the first pick would make the Raiders more, interesting for him if Robert Sala or you know, Brian Flores or some defensive minded coach gets hired, would Cliff Kingsbury want to come on as the offensive coordinator?
Mm.
Um, all that being said, I know that Cliff Kingsbury has been requested for an interview with the Raiders. Or sorry. Kubiak. Kubiak has been Bebop Jones. No, we are good on Belichick. Not an option. For
Well,
me.
I mean, honestly, like, think about how much experience and wisdom he has. Like, maybe the Raiders, instead of going for a young coach, should try to go for like an older one.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
messing around, being sarcastic. Mike,
yeah.
can I move it along to the first overall pick? Because the
Yes.
Raiders
Ju-
finally got it.
I would
Would
just
it?
say Clint Kubiak and Vance Joseph are the two interviews that have been lined up. We will see what else happens the next week.
Okay. Yes. Distract Clint Kubiak as much as you can.
Well, he's on a bye, so he can interview this week virtually.
Yeah, but distract him.
If they like him, they will have to wait after that.
That's
Same goes
another
for Vance
problem.
Joseph.
That's another problem. Coaches
I think the
should
hiring
not.
process should be after the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Well, no, but then there's the timeline. Like, it's tough, dude. Because you have to get ready for the free agency and all that. It's tough.
Still, it just
Yeah.
kind of sucks.
It
Um,
sucks when you're trying to game plan for a big playoff game and your coordinator's off fucking interviewing with 6 teams. That fucking blows.
mhm,
And vice versa, if the Raiders have to wait until championship weekend, like that also sucks.
mhm. Mike, I'm gonna start
Yep.
this topic. Um, I'm gonna go wash my hands because I have a dead mosquito on like the stem of my middle finger.
Nice.
So the Raiders, the Raiders finally. Oh, that's not it either. The Raiders finally, after so many years, finally have obtained the first overall pick. After being so close, year after year after year, sucking so much, they finally have a clear path at getting a quarterback. Tell us about it. I'll be right back.
Well, I mean, there's really not that much to be said here, in part because ever since we started this podcast, this is what I've been saying they need to get to. The question then becomes, now that they have the number one overall pick, is there a quarterback available, or going into this draft, that is worthy of that pick? And as the season has progressed, it has felt more and more like Fernando Mendoza is absolutely worth that number one overall pick. Um, and he more and more screams franchise quarterback. Um, so, very good opportunity for the Raiders here, because this could have been a Kenny Pickett draft season. What was that, like 2021 or whatever, where, your best quarterback shouldn't go any higher than 15. He probably shouldn't even be a first round pick unless you're just desperate. Like at that point, we're probably going for best edge defender, or you can't. It takes two to tango on a trade back, to try to get what's valuable for that pick. Like if nobody's willing to give what it's worth, then you just have to take the best player available. Bebop Jones, yes, the Raiders do have the number one overall pick, because the Giants beat the Cowboys in Week 18 before the Raiders even played the Chiefs. The Raiders locked it in through strength of schedule tiebreaker. Um, but it is starting to sound like a draft class that is worthy of having that number one overall pick. I know a lot of like draft insiders and whatnot have been saying like 2027 is the year for quarterbacks in the draft, and you know it's going to be a deep class with big time, not just quarterbacks but receivers and this and that, right? But 2026 is starting to shape up. It sounds like a solid draft class. Like I was listening to a podcast with like Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah, and he was saying like, you know, this looks like a class that has good depth, specifically on the offensive and defensive line. Um, you have your top heavy guys. Like there are some offensive tackles that are going to go relatively early in the first round that are looking very good, but otherwise it's mostly depth guys, which is fine. That's another key reason why I feel like we just have to fork out money for offensive linemen in free agency. At least two starters. and then still draft some offensive linemen in the draft, at least one. And then you have, I mean, suddenly if you sign two starters on the offensive line, right guard, right tackle, well, then you have, let's say, a competition at right tackle with the signed starter and DJ Glaze. Cool. If DJ Glaze doesn't win that spot, maybe he can also fit in at right guard, maybe. But you signed a guy for right guard, okay? You also have Caleb Rogers. Dylan Parham is an impending free agent, so we'll see what happens there. But Caleb Rogers has looked pretty good. And then I also like what I have seen from Charles Grant this year. And those are both guys that I think are going to really fill in well this offseason through, a full offseason of training in the building towards
I'm back.
really looking like true offensive linemen in the NFL. But Charles Grant, at the bare minimum, can be the backup left tackle. I'm curious if he can play right tackle.
Can I show you what Joey got me for... oh, interesting. Can I show you what Joey got me for Christmas?
Yes, let's see it. I think I saw it, but yeah.
Got me an on-air sign.
Nice.
And
That's also smart.
It comes with a remote. All right, because I used to hang a sign on the door.
Yeah, it's like a piece of paper.
Now I can just put it over there, and they know not to bother me. And when the show starts, I use my handy-dandy remote and turn it on.
Yeah, that's sick.
I almost thought about, what if I put it, here? And just,
that'd be cool.
Have it on, but I feel like it would serve a greater purpose, just letting everybody know that I am live. So tune in to the Silver and Gold podcast, or you'll die a painful death. So,
allegedly. I just went on a little tangent on the offensive line again, but just because I was
Did I break my
on
chair?
a tangent. Well, I hope not. I was on a little tangent about the draft class as a whole, but it is nice. What I was saying while you were gone, it was nice. It's nice to know that this draft class does truly sound like it has a true number one overall quarterback worthy pick. Because this could have been a draft class where it's Kenny Pickett, where it's who was the guy that the Bills picked like 10 years ago, 2014, I think. EJ Manuel, or like this could have been Blaine Gabbert and fucking the Titan Jake Locker, Christian Ponder. Like this could have been, and maybe it is. Unfortunately, it very well could be one of those years.
Mitch Trubisky,
Kenny Pickett, yeah. Kenny Pickett was the big one. Like, imagine if it was a year where it's like it's clear as day, there is no quarterback worthy of being the first overall pick.
Cam Ward.
Well, Cam Ward was fine, but like Shadur Sanders, like. Thankfully, it feels truly like Fernando Mendoza is worthy of the first overall pick.
Who was in the draft that Penix was in?
Drake May. He was third overall. But I think was that Bryce Young and CJ Stroud?
Was that the same draft?
I think.
No.
That doesn't feel right. I don't think Stroud and May were in the same class.
It was the same draft class as Bo Nix and J.J. McCarthy and
what the fuck? Why are we forgetting the first two? I know that the first three were quarterbacks.
Drake May was one of them.
Drake May was number 3. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? But yeah, I know Jaden Daniels for sure was number 2. And yes, it was Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That was a great fucking quarterback class. Man. But, it feels to me like this year, and things can change, where maybe Dante Moore, this Friday, Oregon versus Indiana can be a very big game for the quarterback landscape. But it feels to me like, for one, Dante Moore is not a guarantee to go and declare for the draft. He feels like a guy that needs to stay one more year in college and develop a bit more. Whereas Fernando Mendoza feels like a guy he's got a good fucking head on his shoulders. Not only in sort of he could be very pro ready sort of sense, but also like, he just comes off to me like a guy that not was born to, but was molded to lead a franchise. Like, he just screams franchise quarterback to me. And the fact that the Raiders have the number one overall pick, like, I'd be pretty bummed out if I was sitting there with the number two pick. I'd be pretty damn bummed out. Like, we're probably going to miss out on Mendoza. And now I have to hope that Dante Moore develops in the next 2 to 3 years into a good quarterback. But he's going to be surrounded by shit with possibly a bad offensive line, which, if they focus on it, hopefully that's not a problem. But, and hopefully within 2 years, he's not surrounded by shit. But, the coaching matters. Like, we've seen with the Jaguars, we've seen with the Bears, the Patriots. Like, coaching absolutely matters. They have to get it right to help support this number one overall pick. Most likely, Fernando Mendoza. But on the positive side to this topic, I feel really good about Fernando Mendoza currently. And if I'm being honest, that's without even watching him too much. Like, I watched a game that I should have gone to, dude. I actually wanted to go to this game. Cal versus Miami last season. I wanted to see Cam Ward in person. Little would I have known, if I went to that game, I would have seen, potentially, Raiders' future quarterback, first overall pick quarterback, not Cam Ward, because I wanted the first pick that year, last year, Fernando Mendoza playing opposite him. And up until like the mid fourth quarter, Cal was up like 31 to like 9 or some shit. Like, they were killing them. And then there were turnovers, and then I think Mendoza got hurt for a drive, and Miami somehow comes back and wins with like the last second. It was a crazy fucking game. But I was watching that the other night, and then I was watching I watched a bit of the Alabama game, and Mendoza looked really good. Yeah, so far what I've seen, he seems to be. It's not like he's a check down king. He's absolutely not. Nobody's gonna say that. But he checks down. He checks down when he is supposed to. He's very good at like making that read of like, yep, nope, okay, check down, boom. And like, he's very efficient, I think, in his decision making. And above all, he throws a fucking beautiful spiral, and he's very accurate.
They called Tom Brady a check down merchant too, until he won 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Or 7 Super Bowls later, But.
From what I've seen so far, and I will, when we get toward, after the playoffs, maybe the Super Bowl, I will watch a lot of Fernando Mendoza this offseason. I'll have a bigger, opinion of him by the time the draft comes around. But right now, I like the comparison to like a Matt Ryan. I think actually the best comparison I've heard recently, and this isn't saying that coming out of college, he reminds me of this guy, but more of like, I could see the pro trajectory, but also similar play style, even to the point of like his mobility. Trevor Lawrence. First overall pick, not the most like, mobile quarterback, but in spurts, sneaky mobile. But he has the arm, he's got the accuracy. You just got to get him out of that college, offensive scheme and get him more ready for the NFL. Get him out of this RPO stuff. I think he's going to be good.
Trevor Lawrence, he's got what you call straight line speed, where like as soon as he accelerates all the way, he's actually really fast. But he doesn't have like the quick burst, like the quick twitch or, like Kyler Murray or even Brock Purdy, might have.
Yeah, Mendoza is sneakily mobile. Like, honestly, the first quarterback that I thought of when I watch Mendoza like on mobile, running plays, he reminds me of Justin Herbert. Not as like a passer, which actually a little bit as a passer, but not really. Mostly the mobility of like when you see Herbert escape the pocket and run for a first down, you see him like he's got some speed, you know?
Yeah.
That's Mendoza.
Oh, yeah. Herbert
And
has
then,
like definitely surprised me this year with how mobile he is.
yeah.
Um,
And
so
Mendoza's actually really willing to like take a hit, which he'll need to learn how to not fucking do in the NFL, but like he actually is pretty spatially aware to the point where he's actually pretty damn good in the pocket too, from what I've seen.
so good
So,
news. If Mendoza is like Justin Herbert, good news, Raider fans. You're going to the playoffs. You're going to win some football games. Bad news, Raider fans. You're not going to win any of those playoff games. It's never going to happen. Just
not if we
didn't.
don't have an offensive line.
Yeah.
So,
Bebop Jones says the Niners have his predecessor in Curtis Rourke. I didn't even realize they played at the same school, but now I
yeah,
know.
Indiana. Um I'm pretty sure Curtis Rourke had like insane numbers coming out of Indiana, but as like a prospect, it's like, oh, his height wasn't all there or this or that, maybe his hand
He was
size, who
injured.
knows.
He was injured.
Possibly, yeah. Um like if you were to ask for the perfect like looking quarterback, like I think Mendoza might be the guy. Like 6'5", he's just sneaky mobile, but has a good arm. Like he's not like the flashiest guy, but it's like everything he does is just right. It seems.
Yeah.
And I think if you can just develop that with like a guy like Tom Brady, whoever they get as a quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, like he can be such a. He's not going to be a top 5 quarterback, I don't think. But I don't think that's what you need to be looking for in the first overall pick. You just need a guy who's going to win you games
And his
consistently
name
and over.
was Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other reason, maybe you weren't here for it. The other reason why I love Fernando Mendoza so far is his personality and like the head on his shoulders. Like he screams franchise quarterback. Every time I hear him speak, I'm like, that's a guy that's going to lead a team, and like people are gonna want to fight for him. Like I can see it. Like people think like some of his post game speeches, for lack of a better term, like when he's emotional after a big emotional win, like he's like on the verge of tears and like his voice is cracking. Like some people think that's cheesy and cringy. Any other time he speaks, this dude is perfection. There was one I saw, I think it was for the Penn State game. They were probably not the favorite against Penn State, albeit undefeated. And they go against Penn State, and he has like just a legacy final drive against them, and gets a game-winning touchdown pass and all that. And then like post game, one of the reporters asked him like yada 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 whatever. And the big thing with Indiana this year is the run game is amazing, right? And that the RPO helps that, and the RPO helps the pass game. It goes hand in hand, right? But great run game. So I guess people or somebody or players from Penn State the week of the game were like saying, yeah, the run game is great, but essentially, but their pass game, eh. And Mendoza post game after beating their ass in a close, very good game says, yeah, I had heard that I'm gonna butcher it, but basically, yeah, I had heard that they said some good things about a run game, but some negative things about a pass game, and you can just disrespect me. That's fine, but you're disrespecting my receivers. You're disrespecting my offensive line, and that makes me want to go out and prove to you why they are great. And like just the ultimate teammate. Like everything that he says, I'll find it and I'll send it to you. Like that's what you want your quarterback to say. It's not about him. When they lose, I'm sure it'll be I should have done better. I should have done this one and this one and this one better. I guarantee it. But when like they're winning, it's like that receiver that caught that touchdown, what a fucking route. Like that's what he's gonna be saying post game. Like his teammates are gonna want to fucking die for him. I guarantee it. He's going to win over a locker room like that. Guarantee it.
And just like that, I'm going to have to wake up very early in the morning. So is Michael. So,
Yep.
just like that, we're going to have to wrap up the show. I definitely appreciate everybody who tuned in and commented live. At Bebop Jones, Anthony C., 49er Media, RAST4NR, Frank Weber, Sam, Joel, Demokes, and Will for tuning in. And then everybody who also tuned in live but maybe didn't leave a comment, we appreciate you too. There's always next stream to leave your first comment. As you can tell, we like to take them live. And that's the show. I felt like this was a very good pod. It's been a while since we've had a almost 4-hour pod, but
oh shit.
Yep.
Yeah, we started at what, 8?
We're at 3 hours 42
7.
minutes. I gotta go take a shower, brush my teeth, and get in bed. So, yeah. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Oh, Bebop Jones, great show. Good luck to the black and silver. You know what? How about better luck to the silver and gold? How about that? Hell yeah. Thank you, Bebop. All right. Take care, guys. Thank you. I'm going to let it run. So give it about 5 seconds, and then I'll stop it.